Green screen. Make it so. No, 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 no. Wood. I don't want that one. We're gonna go Lisa. There we go. Be right back, everyone. I gotta download my new background. Hello, everyone. Please stand by. Say hello to Lisa, the rainbow giraffe. For all of us, she poops out universes. We all have to praise Lisa, the rainbow giraffe. Hi, everyone. It's Brian with an I, the way it's meant to be spelled. She is beautiful. Lisa is beautiful. Lisa like Lisa, Frank. Hi, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well today. What is it, Wednesday? Yeah, happy Wednesday, everybody. Well, unless you're in the other side of the globe, that is past the midnight hour. The background's too tall. It says Ask an Atheist up there, but it's kind of hidden behind all the TikTok propaganda. Hello, everyone. I'm just getting started. I know there's a lot of good TikTokers on right now. So we can just hang out for a little while, have a chat. Yes, you can call me Brian or Brian. Either one works. What's on your minds today? Anyone have any thoughts they'd like to share? One of your favorites? Aw, thank you. My pleasure for being here. The moment I found the philosophical debate side of TikTok, I knew I needed to join. So I worked my butt off, made a bunch of content, got 1,000 followers, and it's been a roller coaster of emotions ever since. But I love it, because roller coasters are fun for some, terrifying for others. I do take philosophical questions, but I am not a philosopher. I only dabble, so we'll see where it goes. Do you find yourself feeling silly saying colloquial phrases like God bless you? Yeah, all the time. Like you know how in North America it's common to say God bless you when someone sneezes? It's probably common in England and other countries like with similar cultures. And that always boggled my mind. Why don't we say God bless you when we fart or burp or cough? Why is sneezing so different? It always made me giggle. Yeah, it's fun for me too. Good, good. How are you today, Nils?
I'm doing good. I am just walking around because I have to get ready to go to the bus in like a little bit.
Right on.
But I was also thinking, you ever what? This is like a really weird thought. But if there is a God, you wonder that if all the bad things that happen are because he's looked into the future and like looked into every reality and was like, I've given you all souls with individual like programming, right? And I don't know what's gonna happen, but let me look into all possible futures. And then I'm like, oh, you're gonna do bad things in certain scenarios. So I'm gonna make sure that you're punished in this world. And then
That
he's like punishing us for thought crimes.
Oh, wow. So I immediately thought of the AI program, the chat program. I think it was Google or Microsoft put out, and they had to shut it down after a few weeks because it went racist.
No, Microsoft did it, and it was
Yeah.
Tay or something was its name. Yeah, and it became a not yeah Yahtzee very quickly.
Someone asked, what is consciousness to me? So consciousness is an emergent property of a brain. You have to have a brain in order to be conscious. Now that's arguable when some people
Wait,
consider
what defines a
sentient.
brain?
Right. Do crickets have brains? Do E. coli have brains? So then we have to talk about the difference between consciousness and sentience, because I think even plants are sentient. They communicate in certain ways. They react to stimuli. Right? They have characteristics of something that's alive, but it's not conscious in the sense that we are conscious. So to me, consciousness is an emergent property of a brain.
Yeah, but then it's like my whole thing is what do you consider a brain? Because I wonder if if our brains are just analog computers in a sense, right? They're just neural networks doing or solving differential or complex equations,
Yeah.
or transcendental
Emotional
equations or
response
whatever.
centers. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have a conscious experience. Who's to say other complex systems don't have conscious experiences? What if, like, I don't know, like, because of, what was it, that Hawking radiation and the information paradox, when stuff falls into a black hole, it can basically, for lack of a better, for the layman's definition, it creates ripples on its surface, which essentially remember information and keep, like, going around until, like, a
Yeah.
particle, or not a particle, like a huge like wave of potential particle-iness is emitted and takes bits of that wave with it so it conserves information or something like that. I'm like, okay, that's a really
Right.
complex structure. What if that thing's conscious? What if black holes are conscious, man? That shit keeps me up at night.
We can get super deep into what consciousness may be. I mean, there's certain things that we can't prove as self-aware that very well could be self-aware, which would indicate some sort of consciousness.
Right. Like people
So,
say that the Great Barrier Reef is the largest life form on Earth, but do you think that they experience a shared consciousness, or is it just a group of different organisms all kind of lumped together? So if the most eastern corner of it experiences, I don't know, something for it to be conscious of, does the western side of the same organism experience that? It,
right, like, is it
I
like
don't
us
know.
here on the planet? Does one person on this continent experience the same thing as the person on the other continent?
Right. So when I say brain, I'm talking about the organ that allows me this collection of meat and water and blood and electricity, right, and everything else, the bones, the minerals, my collection of me, everything, all the bacteria and other organisms, the parasites that are, harmless. Do you know that we all have little parasites in our follicles and our eyelashes?
Yep.
They're not dangerous. They're not
I
harmful
thank you for
until
reminding
they
me that they're
un,
eating me slowly.
yeah, they eat our oils that naturally come out of our eyelid, follicle sockets.
Think about it
and
this way.
And our dead skin.
and there's a statistical probability that you definitely have them by the age 70. Sometimes people can go their whole life with no little bugs sharing our eyelashes with us, but by the time you're 70, you have like a 99% chance that you also harbor little friends. Think of the gut bacteria and the stuff that grows on our teeth. It's
Yep.
gross when you think about it. So that's what consciousness is to me. It's being grossed out by the reality of the world we live in.
Well, I mean, think of it this way also. There's only one thing in existence that got to name itself: the brain.
Well, that we know of, right? Yeah.
Right, as far as our understanding, yes.
Yep. And did you know that the
I don't know
lathe is
why
the
my
only
brain just
tool
went
in your
to, and its
shop
name
that can
is
make
John
itself?
Cena.
Yeah,
Wait, what
yeah.
about John Cena?
No, it's just what you said. What named itself, and I'm like, what name? Think of the one thing that named itself, and I thought it was about to go into, and its name is
Oh,
John Cena for some reason.
yes, I am just a simple atheist. Don't mind me. Don't believe anything I say. Look
I'm
it
an
up for
omnist.
yourself. What's an omnist?
Okay, so I'm not an omnist in the sense that most people will claim being an omnist in.
Chuck Norris. You okay?
Most most people that claim omnis claim to acknowledge and believe in every deity that's been in humanity's existence that we know of. While I take that on a different route, I believe and acknowledge that they were metaphorical beings that our ancestors created to explain things that they couldn't understand due to lack of intelligence or scientific products. And that's why the old pantheon gods have no longer had new gods added to those pantheons by the people that still believe, because we can explain it. Thor with lightning, we can explain lightning and thunder now. Poseidon, we can explain tidal waves and earthquakes. So,
Right, but
I,
to think that our early ancestors were not
Oh,
at least somewhat intelligent.
no. I said lack of intelligent advancement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were
I was
very
coming in at
smart.
the same
I would
time. I
say
glitched.
like
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just
I
sent
was gonna
you a
say
new
like
background
religion is
pic.
actually a
Yo,
really good way to like pack. Oh, sorry.
hold on. I need to yell at him first. I just brought you a new scaled background. Fix no shit.
Oh, good. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm gonna. Yeah.
I got this. Hi, Nils. How are you?
I was like talk to like I'm a small child.
It was the worms that are eating you. Is that nope? That's not the one.
She's just excited.
It was the worms that were eating you
Okay.
alive. That is where I came in and I went, really? Where? What are y'all talking about? This was atheist and we went directly into worms eating our eyeballs. What did you do to this boy?
You're welcome. We um we we have very few rules here.
I try
Oh,
and forget.
really? Thank you.
I remember when I
They're not eating
first
our eyes.
learned
They're
that was on like a
they're just
TV show.
they're not eating our
They're
eyes.
technically just eating all the stuff that the gunk,
They're
cleaning it
drinking
really.
the oils that we naturally produce. That's
Okay,
all.
first off, oh, someone said it sounded like I was
Yeah.
talking to Cotton. Well, my phone was on my pillow. Is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Um, I've been dying for Brian to put his head on top of that light bulb and just be the little circle in the center of all of the. If you don't, I'm gonna be so upset. For anyone who doesn't know, I do all of his editing and photo background stuff, except for
Well, not all
the
of it, but most
astronaut.
of
No,
it.
except for the astronaut. Except for the astronaut. That's
Yeah.
his own original.
Ramen.
Ramen.
All right. There we go. Boop, ba-doop,
But
boo.
what was it? Oh yeah, religion. I think it's
Oh,
like I think the reason that it existed was it was a really sorry a really good like way to package a whole bunch of ideas and like purpose and like stuff like that into one concrete belief system. It's
yep.
like, hey, why does this happen? Or don't do
Yes.
this because this will happen. Like,
Oh,
it'll
absolutely.
be like, oh, don't build a bridge here. Why? Because a rain god. This is a rain god's sacred area, and he will destroy every bridge here. And then it's like, oh, turns out this area floods a lot, and it's really hard to build a bridge here. And
Yep.
so it was basically like, don't try it unless you're willing to
Perfection.
like see your bridge get destroyed over and over, right? Like you gotta. And eventually, it was like, oh, we got advancements in technology that let us build a bridge there, but then we just still didn't because of
And
the
see,
old saying or something. Because
that's
you
why I
don't forget
believe
the knowledge.
that's why I believe monotheism come into play instead of polytheism, because once science explained away all of those gods, they needed something new to, you know, dictate their morals per se.
Or I think of
Well,
all
I
the
think
stories that
it's more
really
like they
had.
needed an answer to the primeval question of like death and existence and purpose. Oh, sorry, I
There,
kind of
don't.
interrupted, and
That's
I
all
just
right.
looked back.
Well, just don't forget all of the good rules and ideas that weren't necessarily God related, but then the writers of history and religion just rolled it all into God. Like, we have a good idea. Let's not eat pork that's been sitting out for 3 days. And then the other people are like, yeah, that makes sense. And then the people later on were like, just don't eat pork.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the issues I have with most religion is it wants to give away credit for something we did ourselves.
Yeah, like why praise God when it was the surgeon that saved your husband's life, right?
See, I'm glad you mentioned that because when I was 13, I was in a dirt bike accident. I had to have 70% of my bones reconstructed. That's how bad the accident was.
Whoa!
Yeah, yeah. So I died 3
We can
times on
rebuild
the
them. We
operate.
have the technology.
Oh, absolutely. And they did pretty good
Ow!
at they did
I
pretty
can
good
only
at it.
imagine the pain and trauma.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. So I died 3 times. Like they declared me dead 3 times. And there was DMT didn't do anything for me. DMT didn't give me any righteous experience. I closed my eyes and woke up. That's all I had. Sorry for the people that want to know what my experience was, but it was like blinking. Once I woke up, I spent 6, 8 months still in a bed recovering to the point to where I could be able to move, and then I spent many years in physical therapy. I am not going to give credit to a god or higher being for any of them doctors or psychologists or therapists that helped me get through all that saved my life or anything. That was their dedication to their job and their knowledge and pursuit of knowledge that saved me.
Just went outside with the bowl. Didn't stay very long.
It always makes me think of this like I remember taking a religious studies class and we were like exploring why people turn to religion, right? And we were like listening to like people and like one of the projects was even to like interview people about the religion and like we listened to people's interviews and like stuff like that, right? And the thing that always surprised me is it felt like people didn't find God in like they didn't like find God. They found people and then they were like they kind of mistake like the human spirit or the human kindness as God. Like they couldn't believe another person was so kind or could do like such a great thing. And
They
it's
just couldn't
like
believe
it's
someone
I
was
don't know,
better
it
than them.
feels weird. It's like you're just not
Or
yeah,
tricks
not
them with
even better than them. Just
illusions.
like it's just
Or tricks them with illusions, like walking on water.
Right.
true.
And you know, the funny thing is, a lot of
It's
the
weird.
people that make them claims that walked beside and followed, their savior, they followed sheep and things of that nature. And what grows on its excrement that they ate? Those people were hopped up on mushrooms constantly.
All right, Brian, can really quick, can we talk about why saying Jesus still loves you can be offensive to some people because some people don't seem to understand that.
Well, first of
Yeah.
all, I don't consent to him loving me. So that makes him a creep.
Right, but it is truly offensive to some people and some
Oh,
people
absolutely.
Oh, also
have a hard
no.
time with that.
Yeah, it's like if someone has like a really bad because I know someone like this, they hate religion. I don't bring it up around them because they had a shitty household and it was because of religion. So when they hear something like that, it's like traumatic.
So not only
And I'm
that,
like,
but
oh, okay, never mind. You have bad associations. I probably shouldn't like bring that up. Like, I don't know if
not only
everyone
that, but
has the same
for all
relationship with
those
religion that
religions
I do.
that don't believe in Jesus,
Right.
to come and associate yourself and say, but Jesus loves you anyway, is cruel and offensive to say that their religion doesn't matter and my God is the right one and loves you anyway.
Even
Is
someone from the same Abrahamic belief, you can't walk up to and say that because a Islam or a Jewish person is going to be offended by it because, well, first of all, Judaism denounces Jesus as a prophet, and Islam they accept
Islam's a
Jesus
little
as a
different.
prophet, but
Islam's
their
more
prophet was
like, yeah, we
Muhammad.
believe in. Yeah. Well, no. It's more like Jesus is a prophet and Muhammad's a prophet. Muhammad is just the last one.
Right.
Like, basically, no more prophets after this one, boys. That was the whole
Until
belief or the whole
until Chuck
idea.
Norris.
Chuck Norris is
True,
the
true.
prophet to
Until Chuck.
all.
Well,
True.
no, because he gets
True.
defeated by Bruce Lee, doesn't he?
That's
He
a
also
movie, sir.
he also votes Republican, so I have a hard time that
Oh,
Jesus would
instantly
ever
defeated.
vote
Instantly
Republican.
defeated. How
I
about
don't
he
know. I
was?
mean, Jesus be abused.
Maybe. What kind of AR platform do you think Jesus would hold?
I want to know if the Garden of Eden being in America, in like Utah somewhere, is really like the hill we're willing to die on, when the cradle of humanity is legitimately in Africa. So let's take away all of the god magic, all of that stuff. Even if there's a first man and woman, Utah, like
Yeah,
Montana, Iowa, we're gonna place that really in America, North America.
I wonder if you took a survey of all of the Christians around the world and you asked them, what country will Jesus reappear in? I bet
Ooh.
the percentage of people that say my country is very high.
Okay, I would love to know what skin color people think that. Was it you and I that were watching it last night? That people generally think that Jesus is the same complexion, or like, because there's an
Yeah, they
Asian
look
Jesus,
like
there's a black Jesus, there's a white
exactly.
Jesus, there's a, you name it, they've made it because people reflect their own
There's
image.
Korean Jesus. I've
There
seen
is, in
22
fact,
Jump Street.
they reflect their own image onto the one that they worship. The fact that the common trope these days is a white man on a cross was used for power, to push forth a less than melanin skin colored agenda to circumvent the world and control indigenous people. I mean, in the
Ch-
moment that you did, go ahead.
Chelsea and I were watching a video last night by there's a I'm sorry, my brain is engaging slowly. There's a podcaster named Seth Andrews. His podcast is on YouTube and elsewhere, and it's called The Thinking Atheist. And he just published a really, really good episode with a guest. He's a lecturer and author. His name is Brad Onishi, and they're talking about white Christian nationalists preparing for war. And I would highly encourage everyone listening to at least write it down, go watch it later. The Thinking Atheist is the podcast, and the name of it is Christian Nationalists Are Preparing for War with Brad Onishi.
We're gonna finish it tonight, but it was
Is this
Brad.
about? Because I think I've read about this before, but it's like there's these like weird militant groups of Christians that are preparing for like not only the second coming, but like they're like America's gonna have a civil war, and then like Christ is gonna come back, and then I'm like, what is happening? This is like the fact that they're a decent amount of people in America believing this is kind of scary.
Yeah, no kidding. Think of all the
Or
kids
am I
in
thinking of something
school.
else?
Think of all the kids in church today or yesterday singing "Onward, Christian Soldier," marching off to war. They may not be thinking of going to war literally, but this is a form of priming. It's childhood indoctrination.
At its
Who
highest
here has
form.
ever prayed for God to destroy their enemies? Right? This is a war-like cult.
It's devastating.
Oh, okay,
These
never mind.
children
Just
have
like how
no
it's. Oh,
idea.
also, it's really hard to hear you, Chelsea.
Yeah, Chelsea, you got your finger on the mic.
I unplugged it. Is it better?
Yes, thank you.
Apparently, my phone doesn't like when it's plugged in. Um, I I wonder how many children don't realize that the people around them that they believe are filled with love and light are filled with so much hate and filled with so much oppression. Because like the man we talked about last night, it wasn't his parents' fault that they were indoctrinated by their parents. And it's not their parents' fault that they were brought up by preachers and like high like orders of the church. Like, it's not their fault, but he made it his mission to stop it with him and his daughter. Like, that was
Yeah.
really important to him. But like, where does the world have to get where they all realize that this is causing harm? Like, how do we reach logic and reason for our children's safety?
All the symbols on the screen are Freemasonic.
I'm hiding. I'm.
How is the yin yang Masonic?
I was like, I'm hiding the Christian cross. I was like, if
Yeah.
you switch our screens, you can see all of them.
Wait, is he calling that the Taoist symbol of the yin yang satanic?
I was like, yeah, legitimately. I'm like, I was hiding the Christian cross. I was like, there's the Jewish Star of David. I was like, no, they're not. No, they're not.
You got something for Shintoism, you got the Islam,
Brian, you tapped. There we
Hinduism.
go.
I'm just like, you got a lot of them here.
I did good, right? I tried to get as many as I could to fit into the circle.
Yeah, I like the pattern. It's good layout. Well done. Thank
Do you
you.
know
Thank
do
you
you know
very
how long
much.
it took me dragging little stupid circles to try and get something like
Yeah, sort of geometric. It's okay. I like it. It's perfect. Come on up, people. I want to talk to some believers. Bring me the believers. Hello. Are you there?
Yeah, what's up?
Hi, what's on your minds today?
Yeah, you're an atheist, right?
I classify myself as an agnostic atheist. Yep.
So what's the difference, agnostic or just an
Y-
atheist?
Yep. So Gnosticism has to do with knowledge. Like I can know things to be true or false, but if I don't
Oh,
know something is true, like if I don't know for certain that the Big Bang happened or that Santa Claus exists, if there's no way to disprove a claim like Santa Claus exists or the Bigfoot is real, then I don't have knowledge. Therefore, I am agnostic. Now, when we talk about gods, you are either a theist, someone who believes in God or gods, plural, or you are a person that does not believe that there are gods or God. But that's different from saying that I believe God does not exist. That would be an anti-theist or someone making the positive claim that there are definitely no gods. And because I don't have evidence for something not existing, it's most logical to classify myself as an agnostic atheist.
I like that. So you
Meme, forgive me, but I truly don't think that there are gods.
See, we also have a anti-theist in the box, and I believe Nils is he calls himself a deist.
I mean, I
Yeah,
just wanna
like
ask
I
you
believe in
because
a
you're
god, but
agnostic.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, I had a near-death experience last week, and yeah, yeah, I'm not like religious type or anything, but when I died, if I can say that, when I died. When I came back to life, I saw a tunnel, and it was like emotionless. There was nothing. There was just a tunnel, no light, no nothing. When I came back,
Yeah. So
what do you think that was? Like, I'm not
yeah,
religious, you know.
I might be able to tell you.
there's a lot of study on this phenomena, and I don't think any of us here are biologists, but what we do know is that when the brain goes through a transition, like from living to not living, and then comes back, those are extreme transitions. And to protect itself from the trauma, from the wonder of what's going on, all of a sudden your brain is depleted of oxygen, things start misfiring, hallucinations can happen. a
Our
huge
brains
rush
do
of
really funky
endorphins.
things in trauma.
Yeah, our brains do amazingly complex and abnormal things
Mm.
going through a transition like that. And some people don't experience it, and some people do. And there's a pattern to it. We see patterns in this phenomena during that transition.
Yeah,
And a lot of people will say it was a religious experience. Yeah, it's a very
I
spiritual,
mean, I saw
amazing
nothing. It was just a
experience.
tunnel. No light, no emotions, nothing, you know?
Uh-huh. Right. Everyone's brain is a little different, right? No two brains are alike. Even twins.
Yeah, that,
You yourself probably know a set of twins that behave very differently than each other,
yeah.
right?
Wait. I'm 43 years old right now. But when I was 5 years old, I had a familiar experience when I was like have a near death experience, and when I was like 5 or 6 something, I don't know, and I felt love. You
Okay.
know, I felt
Yeah.
love, but now when I had a near death experience, I felt nothing. It was like heaven versus hell right now. Oh my God, you know what I mean?
So, like we said, our bodies do incredible things to
No, no,
transition.
I'm just like uh, I was a toddler or something when I had a near death experience first time, and felt love, really, something that I never experienced before and after, and and uh, in my adulthood when I had a near death experience again, I felt nothing. It was like my life is like a lie, you know. Maybe I did something wrong. I was in hell. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to, but words like hell have very little meaning to me because everyone's version is a little different, and I don't believe in a hell. So it's hard for me to understand because all your personal experience is very personal to you. It's almost impossible to share it using language alone. No one will be able
Yeah.
to be in your head but you.
I know, but when I was a kid, I never believed in
Except for
God.
me,
But
I'm
I
in your
believe in
head.
God. I mean, I believe in something now, you know. But when I was a kid, I never believed in nothing, and I felt love. And now that I believe in something, I don't know what, maybe energy, I felt nothing. You know what I mean?
I I think I think being human can be a profoundly spiritual experience. In fact, I think some of our most rich, wonderful, favorite moments in our lifetime are deeply spiritual to us. We all have a sense that there is something greater than just the physical, right? Sure. When you start
Yeah.
calling it names and giving it properties, that's when we can actually weigh the claims against the evidence. But to be human is to be a spiritual, loving, compassionate, emotional creature. We are profoundly complex creatures. But in my opinion, everything that we experience is based on the physical properties of the world. Our
Hmm.
brains, being the profoundly complex
Hmm.
things that they are by definition, by my definition, completely bound by the physical properties of the universe.
So do you think it was all chemical?
Yeah, chemical and electrical and physical. Yeah, everything that we experience is either an observation of the natural world around us, which is then translated through the optical nerves and synapses in our brains that remember and realize and understand what we are observing. So at the end of the day,
Yeah.
everything that the
Yeah, I
human
know.
experience
I know.
is a personal experience.
I know, man. I understand. I understand everything you're saying, but oh, come on, isn't it just a little bit freaky that we're just like robots?
We're robots? We're not
Yeah,
I,
robots.
I know what you mean because we aren't robots, I wouldn't say, but I get what you mean, where it feels like there's no like soul in us or
Yeah,
anything.
then
We are no
what are
different
we,
from
man? What is
a
my
comp.
what is my my concept
What is
concept?
consciousness? Where is
Yeah,
Yeah? What is
We
consciousness? What is this sentience? Where is this coming from?
yeah.
Because
Who
I'm
yeah.
am I?
feeling
What
something,
I
my
am doing
man.
here? Is it a
Shrooms.
matrix? Or-
Yeah,
Come
Shrooms.
on. What?
I
Do you know what the largest amount of cells in your body is made up of?
No.
It's the bacteria in your gut.
Oh
There
yeah,
are
yeah,
more
yeah, yeah. I know that.
bacteria
I know that.
cells in your gut
Yeah,
than
millions and
skin
millions of
cells or
yeah.
blood cells or anything else.
No,
So we are the physical collection of everything that makes us us.
actually, it's
Uh,
not. It's you're made of electricity, so if it's like more electrons than bacteria, you know.
only in the brain and the electrical
oh
synapses through our
Yeah.
nervous
well that
system, and yeah, all atoms are
uh,
charged, I guess, but electricity is a energy source, right? It's a form of one of the few energies, part of the electromagnetic spectrum, right?
True.
So
True.
everything is,
electricity was just the flow of charge. Sorry, I'm such an
yeah,
asshole.
right. Like the electricity flowing through our brains is the process of our brains being alive. We are not alive without the electricity, but snapping between synapses. And
So what?
if you cut off your fingernail, right? Trim your
Yeah,
fingernail,
yeah.
and that little bit of fingernail, that's made out of, you know,
Keratin.
stuff that has an electrical charge to it.
True.
But that
True.
doesn't mean that it's made out of electricity.
So what do you think about a kid? I mean, a toddler who remember his past lives?
I don't believe those claims. I
No.
think those kids, no,
No.
I think kids are either making up stories, and then the adults around them confirm through their testimony or whatever that they're speaking the truth, or
Mm,
the kid has an incredible memory, remembers stories that their grandfather are telling them about their father, and then they start talking about their great grandfather as if they knew them, but it's just the regurgitation of hearing someone else's stories. Some combination of that. There's only anecdotal evidence to suggest that children are actually remembering memories from a person that is no longer alive. That doesn't make sense to me.
yeah, yeah.
And
I get.
very few
The real answer is it
near
was
death
me. I did
experiences
it.
are similar.
Sorry, Chelsea, what was that?
Very few near death experiences are similar. They have similar kind of like similar undertones of a light or feeling like you're traveling somewhere, but all of us have the same chemicals in our body and we're flood with the same hormones exiting this world. But there are very few, unless you are in a very religious background, that have the same experiences.
Mm. Oh, it's like if you're a Christian, you saw Jesus, and if you're Muslim, you saw Allah, and
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I know what
and
you're saying.
and
because there's
tests have been done a lot. There's a lot of testing that's gone on about people who claim, for example, people who claim they have an out of body experience when they are no longer alive and then come back to life. Well,
Yeah,
doctors will take a piece of paper or something and write a number on it and then stick it on top of the filing cabinet that's in the
yeah, yeah,
operating
yeah, yeah,
room,
yeah.
right? And then they'll ask the patient, well, if you were floating above your body, as you claim, did you notice the piece of paper that was on top of the filing cabinet? And they'll say, what piece of paper? Right? So when you test these claims against
I
repeatable,
mean,
demonstrable reality, then most of them fall short of any kind of proof.
I heard about the story about the guy who was blind, and when he had a near-death experience, he was telling everything that he experienced when he was dead. You know, he saw the doctors, he saw the operating room, and he was blind. How do you explain that? You know what I mean?
The worlds may never know.
Answer
Actually,
yes.
there's a man who can paint and does very detailed paintings, and he's completely blind. He was born blind, and they are still trying to figure out how he's doing depth in paintings, something that they truly did not think was possible.
Yeah, that's actually, I'm
We
actually
really
beaming
are
those
in
ideas
Matrix,
into his
bro.
brain. It was me. I did that.
You're on a roll tonight, Nils.
All right,
Oh, being an
someone's
So,
idiot? Yes, I
someone's
agree.
yelling about my favorite color. It has nothing to do
yes,
with being a
Jacob is trying to
feminist.
get
It has nothing to
Jacob's.
do. I just truly like cobalt blue. I typically the words end up being cobalt blue. That's not by habit or not by choice. It just my brain does that. Jacob, sit down. Ryan Reynolds will come for you later. Okay, it's fine.
So someone says you can't die and come back. So that's true, and at the same time, a little misleading. So true death, when you actually are expired and cannot come back, is when we consider the brain to be dead, right? Brain death is a medical term. Even if your heart stops, you're in a coma or something, you can be kept alive and resuscitated, sometimes fully heal. But those are what we call near-death experiences. Once a medical professional declares you brain dead and you are no longer alive
There's no coming
and
back from
cold,
that.
right? Like your body reaches room temperature, there's no returning from that.
Someone just said, "How do we get morals without religion?"
Good question. We, as Homo sapiens, are very social creatures. We learn and behave socially, right? Our survival depends on it. Societies that had a good social cohesion, tribes, big tribes that worked together, practiced similar moral values. Like, hey, let's not hurt each other. Let's not steal from each other. Let's not commit acts of sexual violence against each other,
True,
right?
true.
And the people who fail to follow those rules are punished. So it's a reinforcement mechanism. We have rules that we follow that are social constructs. And moral values are just value statements on what we deem to be socially acceptable. In my opinion, there is no such thing as objective morality. Some people make the case that there is, in the sense that we know objectively that it's always bad to SA someone, right? And I agree with that. I think there are some rules that cannot be bent or broken. They will forever be morally reprehensible, unjustifiable, right? But there are some cultures that say putting someone to the status of unalive, making someone expire, can be a morally justifiable act. Think of people who are at the end of their life suffering tragic harm and pain, and there's no coming back. This is a terminal disease, right? This is a terminal end of life situation. Ending that person's suffering is sometimes the morally justifiable thing to do. Plus, it gives people bodily autonomy, right? So moral values are subjective and not objective.
But what is suffering?
TLDR, we make them up because it makes us feel good.
Well, yeah. we make morals up because they make us feel good or improve our survivability.
Can you
And
Yeah.
explain suffering
Also,
to me?
sorry, I kind of interrupted.
yes, suffering is a hard one to define really quickly. It's the state of discomfort, harm, losing one's bodily autonomy, self-control,
I know.
individuality,
I mean,
autonomy.
if
It
I
can be
pinch
physical.
you,
It can
if I
be
pinch you
physical
and you feel
pain.
like,
It can be
yeah,
emotional
physical pain.
pain.
What is physical pain?
Well, physical pain is the body response to stimuli that could be painful or detrimental, right? We
Right.
feel pain. Well, the feeling of freezing and burning is the same physical response. We can't
No.
tell the difference, right? We know it's
Right.
painful, but we can't tell that it's because we're freezing or burning.
So what about emotional pain?
Right, emotional trauma is still a form of suffering for sure, and that has to do with a mental status, trauma to the brain, memories that are causing PTSD, and there are a lot of studies to show how to alleviate that pain. In fact, if anyone here is suffering from PTSD, there's a really good book I'd like to recommend called Walking Your Blues Away by Tom Hartman.
See, it's
Walking
like,
Your Blues Away.
I mean, I know physical pain, I know emotional pain, but is there a difference between the two of them?
Yeah, not always, but yes, there's a difference.
What kind of difference is it? When I was a kid, I never felt emotional pain. I was like, I don't care. But now, when I think about it, I'm actually starting to become vegan because of the trauma that I see in animals that we put them through. I feel physical pain when I see emotional pain in others. So what's the difference?
Yeah, good question. I've also experienced that same reaction. Even though we're not there to physically take the, we're not there to experience the same physical trauma that, say, a pig or a cow's experience as it's being it's as it's on the conveyor belts into the slaughterhouse, right? We
Yeah,
have
yeah, 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 yeah.
I think one of the few characteristics that may be unique to the human
Yeah,
species
empathy,
is that
empathy. What is
we can
empathy?
right we can really put ourselves in the place of an entirely different species and have a physical response from the emotional trauma that witnessing that bit of reality can cause. And I applaud you for considering the suffering of others. I think one of the true tragedies of the modern worlds that we live in is that sociopaths, people who do not have the capability of feeling empathy for anyone else but themselves, they have a higher likelihood of becoming CEOs or pastors or people
Billionaires
running
of companies, yeah.
billionaires, religious leaders have a higher percentage of being of the physical brain makeup that prevents them from feeling empathy for others. So, yes, I think empathy is an incredibly important emotion that we should all work on promoting.
Yeah, see,
Not,
I always thought that empathy is the feeling of a soul.
Nope.
That Nope, right?
nope. It's a evolutionary adaptation that humans have, but other creatures also have empathy, like
Have you ever seen a
chimpanzees.
tiger take on a baby gazelle? It's adorable. They don't eat them. They like raise them. It's crazy.
No, 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 no. That's why everybody's saying only humans have souls, not animals.
Yeah, that's a load of
Okay.
nonsense. There's
My
no
dog
reason
has
to
more
believe that souls
soul
exist.
than the orange Cheeto ever did. And he has been rude to me, but he has never voted against me, so I still give him more soul.
Oh man, you you made me feel worse. I
So
feel
sorry.
like a
Ah,
robot. I feel like a robot now.
You feel like a what?
a robot?
Like,
No, we're not. We're so
No.
you're not. You're a thinking, emotional, biological phenomena. We are
yeah,
all
biological robot.
phenomena.
I'm a biological.
All right, let's define robot for a minute. To me, a robot is a mechanical, an electrical mechanical
So what's the
device,
difference?
a tool, because a robot is mostly a tool to entertain, a tool to find
Nah,
explosive
man, no,
devices, right?
it's
We
Brian,
use
just a
Brian,
robot is a
Brian.
chemical response you know, to energy. We are
Well,
energy, right?
then kinda. I mean, we don't have control over our reactions. I mean, if you get really angry and somebody cuts you off in traffic, do you have your choice whether or not you're upset with what they did to you?
Yeah, but I'm programmed. I was programmed from life.
Well, I
I don't
mean,
know,
we are all somewhat programmed in the way that our brains are structured. Like
right?
childhood
Like a
development is
robot.
really important because our brains are being structured for the rest of our lives. But I wouldn't say a robot.
So what would you say?
you're a person, you're a human.
So what
I
does
think
that mean?
I think Oh, honey, that is a deeper question. I think
That's why I'm here.
humanity is a deeply flawed, broken,
Um,
structured system.
I mean,
But
my
individually,
computer can have a virus and it can malfunction. It can do stuff
yep, your
that
brain
is
can do
not
the same.
supposed to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, your brain can do the same. He's not far
isn't it
off.
fascinating that we share similar characteristics with the rest of the world, right? The rest of the world that's made up out of computer chips or
I mean,
viruses
I
or
mean,
we
I have two dogs. I have two pit bulls. One is gentle and the one is vicious like an animal. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Somebody said it in the
But
chat though. The
but
difference
they're
between you and
twins.
a robot is that
They're
you are
twins.
the
I
only
raised them the
person
same.
that has ever
So
controlled your thoughts and emotions, and a robot can be changed to control, and a robot can be controlled.
Right, like you do have free will in the sense that you can choose to walk up the stairs or run up the stairs. You can
Mm,
choose your daily
mm,
behaviors to a degree,
mm.
but your choices become more and more limited as you decide what your life is going to be, as your life is decided for you by
I
the
mean,
forces that are out of all of our control. And that's okay. You don't have to be
no.
worried about it. There's no
I
reason to
mean,
be anxious.
I can
Just enjoy
decide
the
to end
ride.
my life right now if I want to.
Well, yes, but we absolutely hope you do not.
No, I'm not going to. But I mean, if I want to, I can. But a program or a robot has a response that he cannot do this because he's programmed to. But I can do whatever I want, so I have free will.
does it does it bother you enough to, keep you up at night or really have, I don't know, disassociative thoughts like that you are not yourself sometimes? I mean, there's a certain level of healthy skepticism and philosophy, thinking about this stuff, and there can also be an unhealthy level of skepticism, or what's the word? There's a word that's escaping me right now. I think, therefore I am, or the extreme version of solipsism. There are levels of hard solipsism that can be detrimental to one's well-being. I'm bringing in a new guest now. I don't know where Chelsea and Nils went.
Yeah, I mean, uh, it's so strange. Life is so strange, if you know what I mean.
Yes, it certainly is.
I'm here trying to understand life. I'm here trying to understand if I have a soul. I'm here trying to understand if I'm a robot. I'm here trying to understand if I'm programmed or do I have a free will. I'm just like before I go to sleep, do I just die and wake up in the morning You know what I mean? It's what is sleep anyway? What is dream? What if I'm dreaming? What I'm dreaming of? Oh
So
my
there's
God!
there's a there's a lot of research into that, and I read a really fascinating hypothesis that is, based in our current understanding of what the brain does when it's sleeping. It's very much active. The brain doesn't shut off or anything when you're
I
sleeping.
know it's active, yeah,
And
but
what
do you
what
know
we
do you
ex-
know about lucid dreaming?
so what we experience in the daytime is all of our experiences are stored in a short-term memory. We have a part of the brain, a physical part of the brain that's short-term memory. And when we sleep, when we enter rapid eye movement, REM sleep, we can dream often and that part of our dreaming is our short-term memory being logged into our long-term memory center, which is a
True, true,
physically
true.
separate part of the brain.
Yeah, yeah.
So when we dream, when we have lucid dreams, we can enter in some kind of conscious way that process of shifting or sifting or sorting through our memories. We're entering our memory lobe and playing around in it.
You know,
But every
I have a watch that monitors
floppy
my
disk to mainframe, yeah.
REM. I have a watch that monitors my REM sleep. How does the watch know when I'm in REM sleep? It's like, whoa, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a better question for a biologist. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Okay, man. Hey, I have taken a lot of your time, so thank you for your answers and have a good one, man. Thank you.
Yeah, be well, don't stress, don't worry too much about
I'm
it.
not
Just try to
stressing, man. I'm just like,
enjoy the
I'm just
enjoy
thinking
the
about something.
ride. Yeah, I
Yeah,
hear
I'm
you.
enjoying the
Thinking is
ride.
good.
I'm just thinking. Thank you,
Yeah,
man.
enjoy the ride
Have a
while
good,
it lasts. All right, be well.
yeah, you too, man. Good. Have a good one.
Hello.
Hey, how's it
How
going?
are you? Good. What's
Good.
on
How
your
you?
minds today?
Okay, so we were gonna talk a couple weeks ago, but I was banned from the live, so I couldn't.
Ooh.
I remember. I know. I said the R word on accident. I've learned my lesson.
Ah, yes, we have
Uh,
to be careful with our
yeah,
language
can't.
on the
Uh,
TikTok.
as a that's a hard thing to drop. So I'll
Your
do about
your
it. You
connection.
spoke about a couple
Sorry,
weeks ago.
your connection is very
Oh,
poor. You're
here, hold on.
roboting a lot.
Okay, hold on.
That's much
Give
better. I can hear
me
you
just a
now.
second. I should get better. Am I better now?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm on Wi-Fi.
yeah, much better.
Okay, so you had said a couple weeks ago, you had said that you are agnostic, that once upon a time you claimed as atheist, but somewhere along the line you decided to claim agnosticism. So that's the thing I wanted to address with you, because I did this same thing, and then also decided that in fact I am an atheist, and agnosticism is just intellectually dishonest, right? So we had kind of discussed this. Outside of a literal divine intervention, right? We're probably not going to like throw our eggs in that hat, right? Like without something outstanding and divine. I can't think of a better word for it, right? Like, would you agree?
Okay.
Yeah.
I want, for the most part, yes, but I also want to define Gnosticism when you're ready. Yeah, but
No, go
continue.
ahead. Go. So my only thought was that it just I believe you're better than that. That seems intellectually dishonest. And I think that really, like, and what I did, what made me stop claiming agnosticism was just like, say you have to bet, like you got to pick one, right? You got to put that money in a bucket, come hell or high water, right now. Which bucket are you going to put your money in? Like, we both know the answer to that, right? So, like
Are you still
that.
talking about the difference between agnosticism and atheism?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, claiming
Okay.
agnostic instead of atheist. Yeah.
So let's dive into the definitions for a moment. I don't think that they are mutually exclusive. You can have both at the same time. So the definition of Gnosticism to me is entirely based on knowledge. For example, I know that I'm holding a pen right now. I'm holding it in my hand, I'm tapping it against my forehead. This is stuff that I know, which is different from having a belief in something. I can believe that I have a pen, but I have something better than just belief. I have knowledge, right? So we have belief in systems that cannot necessarily be proven or disproven. I don't know. It gets complicated. But when I have a belief in a God, if I believe that there is a God because of my own personal anecdotal experiences or whatever, I believe that the teachings in the Holy Book are true, then I am a theist. But as a atheist, I do not believe in a God. So at the same time, I am both agnostic to the claim that there is, to the knowledge that a God does or does not exist, right? I do not have a belief, or I'm sorry, I'm getting confused. I do not have knowledge that God does or does not exist. So therefore, I am agnostic to the claim about God. I am also not believing in a God's existence. Therefore, I am also atheist. So I am an agnostic atheist. I am both.
Okay. So, okay. It feels like semantics. I
It
totally
is,
understand.
but they're important
Literally,
definitions too.
they as a pretty pedantic person at times, I appreciate the hell out of that.
That's like saying I'm not a Christian, I'm a Muslim, right? They are both of the Abrahamic religion, but one believes in the same stories
An extra
until it
guy.
doesn't, right? It's
Yeah.
semantics, but the definitions are important.
Sure. Okay, okay, I'll concede that. It just when I heard you say that you were agnostic a couple weeks ago, I was like, man, like you're better than that. You know better than that. But to hear you explain it like that, that is acceptable to say that you're a gnostic atheist, or I'm sorry, an agnostic atheist.
So,
That's fair.
quick story. Before I knew the difference, I thought they were mutually exclusive. I thought that all agnostics were just fence sitters. They couldn't make up their minds. The wishy-washy. I'm not on this side of the fence or that side of the fence. I'm just going to sit on the top of the fence and be agnostic. But that's not the case. When I learned
I've
the
always viewed it
definition,
as just a politically correct way to be an atheist in today's society.
yeah, and that is a misunderstanding of the definition, and I'm glad I may have been able to shed some light on it. But again, don't believe me. Don't believe a damn word I say. Look it up
Don't
yourself.
believe anything. Until I can read your mind, I'm just going to assume you're lying to me about everything.
Well, I could be
I
honestly
appreciate you,
mistaken.
dude. We totally could, dude. And can you imagine?
Yeah.
What is it? It's Pascal's wager, right? Like, I mean, in that, like, it's hard as an atheist. It's hard for me to argue against Pascal's wager, other than just personal ingenuousness, right? Like just being genuine towards myself.
Disingenuity.
Yeah, well, avoiding
Disingenuity.
There you go. Avoiding. I was trying to find the version of that without dis. But yeah, just to avoid disingenuity of myself, right? Like I am above and beyond anything else. I try to be true to myself and what I believe, and without biases, right? Like I try as
Yeah.
hard as I can to not have hard biases, but also like I'm confident in several things that I think I know. But who knows? Like, man, it'll be a crazy day if I'm on my deathbed and Michael comes down and he's like, "Yep, nope, being a Buddhist and doing good deeds and all your charity work and everything you've done for your entire life doesn't amount to anything. You are screwed, sir. Welcome to hell." Like, that'll be
Yeah.
horrible and I'll be super
Yeah.
disappointed. But,
Have you
and
seen the
it's
show Warrior Nuns? This is important.
I haven't, man. I heard you guys talking about that a couple weeks ago. I don't often have the time to sit down and like watch TV. When I do have free time, I do something like this, like just listen to you bullshit while I do something in the background.
All right,
I've heard
so
about it. It looks interesting.
okay, so the concept is what happens if the Catholic Church finds out that the angels that they have been worshiping are actually evil.
Well, I mean, I think that that's true.
Oh,
So
I don't think you're wrong, but it was like trying to explain it to the world and them taking their power, and it's become so fascinating, and whoever did this did their research well.
that is interesting. I like historical and theological accuracy. That would be interesting.
So
That makes like that's Dan Brown's an awesome author for that reason.
They made a joke,
yeah.
and Brian didn't catch it. They made a joke about Jesus, and until we got halfway through the next episode, I was like, "Oh my god, it was about Jesus!" Like he didn't catch it. I didn't catch it the first time around, and both of us, like, I stood there. Well, I sat there baffled, because all of a sudden I was like, "Oh my god, they were talking about Jesus! Oh my god, they just talk so much shit! Oh my god, are they allowed to do
So,
that?"
as an aside, sorry to take up time. I know you usually
No,
like
you're
to
good.
have people tell you how stupid you are and that you're wrong about everything.
No, please, this is a breath of fresh air.
I have
Yeah,
a
no,
request
I'm
for you.
super bored and off work. For me, yes, sir. What's up?
I have a request for you. I have another guest that I want to bring on, but
Okay.
I want you to come back
Okay.
and share with us, if you are willing to, your deconversion story, or how you left a faith, or if you were even in a faith at all. Do you want
Okay.
to come back
Yeah,
in
I
a few
mean, I would.
minutes?
Sure. Yeah, I can do
Do you have
that.
time?
I have about an exactly 1 hour until I have to be somewhere. So yeah.
All right, cool. I'll bring you up after the next guest. Is that cool?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's cool. You just want me to request again and then just hang out and wait?
Yep. Yes, please.
Yeah, that's cool, dude. Okay, do the other dude and I'll be back.
What's your name again? But I can't read it.
Budapest.
It's so Budapest. It's so small on my screen. All right, yeah. Come back again. Thanks.
Okay, awesome, man. Bye.
Oh man, the screen is. I mean, the text for the names in the box is
I
so
followed him so
small.
I'd remember.
Yeah, my old man eyes can't see that good no more.
I wasn't gonna say nothing, but
Hello.
Hello. How are you? What's on your minds today?
I'm doing all right. I watch your live quite frequently. You know, I usually just sit in the comments and listen, but I
Well,
decided
thanks.
I would join and ask a few questions if you didn't mind.
That's what I'm here for.
Okay, cool. So let me just start off by saying that I grew up in like the Midwest along the Bible Belt. Give you a little background. I was raised, Christian Baptist, and I see a lot of flaws in it, so I claimed like atheist. Like maybe it stems from a bitterness towards the way the world runs and blaming it towards God, but I stood behind the thought that there couldn't be a God because of all the bad things that happen in the world. So that's why I would stem atheist, and maybe this is just my misunderstanding, but from what I understand, most people who I ask when they're atheists, what they tell me is that atheism is a lack in belief. And to me, it just seems like semantics. Like, it wouldn't seem that different from saying that a lack in belief of God is also a belief in the lack of God. And my question is that wrong? Am I wrong there? Could you maybe elaborate?
A lack of belief in God is different from a lack of a belief of God.
I vote yes, but Brian will say no.
It's easy to compare atheism and theism to a set of other beliefs. Like, do you believe that Bigfoot exists or Sasquatch
Yeah, that's
exists?
exactly what I was going to say. Like, do
Right.
you think unicorns are real? So if you
So
say you
there's
don't believe in unicorns, that also means you believe unicorns don't exist. Isn't that the same?
no. There's a subtle difference.
Okay.
So there's three positions that we can hold for a belief: a positive assertion that the belief is true, the atheistic position that there's no way to determine that it's true or false, and then the positive position that the unicorn does not exist, or that God does not exist. So we have words for these. We have theist, atheist, and anti-theist, right? As someone that makes
Okay.
the positive claim that a God does not exist. And because it's impossible to prove a negative with evidence, there is no evidence that disproves something. There's only evidence that proves a counterclaim, a counter hypothesis.
Okay.
So I am not personally an anti-theist, because there's no physical proof that determines that there is no God. There's simply evidence that refutes or disproves the positive claims of the theist that there is a God. I know it's complicated and
complicated.
It's
semantic,
definitely
but
interesting. That's why
yeah.
I always thought that being agnostic would be the most intellectually honest position to take because you're not taking a position either way. You're just sitting on the fence and waiting for the proof.
Right, again, but the definition of Gnosticism has to do with knowledge and not belief. And it took
Okay.
me a long time to wrap my mind around what is the actual difference between believing something is true and knowing something is true.
So
So
I think
to
about it
know,
kind of like, who lives upstairs? I don't know. I don't care. And the neighbor going, well, I know it's Jason, and the person next door being like, no, it's definitely Jeffrey, and me being in the middle being like, I don't care.
Okay.
well,
That seems like a good
there's a
example.
name for not caring. It's a apatheist. Oh, there's a fourth definition.
Because if the agnostic atheist says, I'm still waiting for proof, and until you show it to me, I don't care. Like, until you bring him to me, I don't care.
So, is there a difference between agnostic and atheist? They seem almost the same.
Right, it's the difference between knowing and believing. That's the difference.
Got you.
So a Gnostic knows a thing to be true, or they do not know a thing to be true. Either it's either a positive or negative understanding of the thing that exists, right? The knowledge that something exists. If you don't have the knowledge, I don't have the knowledge that Bigfoot does or does not exist. So I am agnostic, Bigfootist. But
Right.
That's so rude.
if I believed that Bigfoot exists, I could say I am an agnostic Bigfootist or I'm sorry, a Bigfootist or an anti-Bigfoot.
Wow, Brian.
What would it be?
The offense that you have just caused in the internet. The internet's going to explode from this. I just want you to know it's your fault.
I know that Bigfoot is like a slang name. It's actually Sasquatch. So you can be a Sasquatchist
Thank you, sir.
or a anti-Sasquatchist or a non-Sasquatchist.
The racist. Gosh.
Okay, so that probably stems the same similar with any form of religion or anti-religion.
See, here's the thing though, is that atheists usually start with the conversation with, like, you already know what it is like to be an atheist.
Sure.
There are 3,000 gods, and you and I just disagree on one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you already know what it's like to not believe in all the other gods. I just believe in one less.
All right. Well,
Does that
maybe
make sense?
yeah, sure. I think that helps to enlighten it. Because I end up getting in a lot of disputes and arguments with people because of that understanding I have, where it seems like atheism is still some form of belief, but
It's not. It's a lack of belief.
Right.
so that's not
Yep.
semantics. It's just
No.
knowledge and belief.
No, atheist is truly the lack of belief in something that is there. So it's
Okay.
like saying that you know there's a ghost, and I say that I don't know. I don't think
Yeah.
it's there.
Yeah.
There seems
I
to
don't
be
pretend
faults
to know
with
that it's
that, but
there, so it doesn't affect my life.
can
But
you
I'll
always
let you
use
believe what you
reasoning?
want, but it's not affecting me.
Like, don't you sometimes have to use your intuition and belief and faith to get through life? I mean, it seems like you can't always rely on
That's like a
rationality.
gut feeling instinct you're asking about.
I
Sure.
think intuition is a important tool that we can use when it comes to behavior, especially when, like, if you're judging whether or not this person is going to make a good boss. You have intuition, right? Are you actually going to put yourself under their control or, subjugation for 8+ hours a day? Maybe that's not a good person, right? You can use your intuition for all kinds of things. But when it comes to understanding the facts about the natural worlds, science has proven to be the most reliable
Yeah.
methods to help us determine what is and isn't so, through demonstration, repeatability, quantifiability, all of that stuff. So let's think about something else that you may believe in but don't know for certain is true, like karma. Do you believe there's such a thing as karma?
I I think that it's not like a woo-woo thing. You know, if you hurt someone, they're going to want to hurt you back, and I think that's probably where it stems from. I don't really look at
Perhaps.
it as a belief as much as like a concept.
Right. So people believe that karma is real. They
Right.
believe that what they do, bad or good, will come back in the opposite energy
Hmm.
fluctuation or whatever. But there's no way to prove, to know that karma is definitely real or not real, right? It's another one of these philosophical tools or belief systems that is not necessarily grounded in fact or reality, right? We can't know for certain
Would that be a
that
limitation
karma
to
is real.
science? Like, let me give you an example. I mean, everyone boils down to God, but what about just consciousness, like self-awareness? It seems to be a really like dreams, for example. So if I could, I'd like to give you an example of one of these dreams I have. So ever since I was a little kid, I've had dreams that I wake up from that seem like they make sense, and I don't really fully remember them. They're kind of vague, but I'll have these points in my time that's maybe like anywhere from 5 seconds to a minute and a half, maybe longer, where I like have this overwhelming sensation that I've been here, that I've seen this in my dream. And it's specific. It's specific to me. It's not that I've lived a past life. It's that I've seen what's going on in my life in my dream. You know, and
Yeah. And
it makes
and
me
again,
question free will and God, you know.
I'm not the person to really talk about it. This you should talk to some, if they're ever offering their time, to talk to a neurobiologist, someone that
Okay.
dives into the brain's
Yeah.
chemistry, right? But here's my initial thought. Because our brains are transferring our short-term memory into our long-term memory as we dream, as we sleep, our brain is processing our memories. So our long-term memory storage is active. It's like it's on. They turned up the dial. It's
Your
very active. Here you
subconscious.
go. So when you awaken from that process, it feels like deja vu. I have deja vu all the time because my brain accidentally takes that experience that should go into short term memory and it sticks it in long term memory by mistake. And because my brain is activating my long term memory while I'm having the experience, just like when I woke up from that dream and it feels like I've been here before, or that this is my actual past shown to me in this dream state, or something like that. It's just the brain kind of having a moment. It's
Well, that's what I
misfiring.
saw
It's
when
not
I
operating
researched it.
properly.
Because I've
Brian, someone
experienced
said,
this
"What's
my
the
whole
symbol for
life.
atheism?"
Just like an A with
Um,
a circle around it, isn't it?
yeah, it's like an A, like stick figure A with a circle around it.
Hmm.
There's a couple of other ones. Like there's a A that's like an at symbol.
No, my understanding that I've come to is that it's got to do something with intuition. Like in your dreams, it's your brain trying to figure out, like a computer, like what might happen in the future, and then the only ones that stick are the ones that make it. So your brain every time you sleep is like my brain anyhow. Everyone's different, but I experienced deja vu ever since I was young, and it happens quite frequently. But my
Yeah.
brain, what my intuition is that it's like my brain's trying to figure out what the future is. And most of the time it
Yes.
gets it wrong. But that few times
Right.
it gets it right is when I have that deja vu, you know? So it's not that
It,
it's necessarily woo woo or
it's
religious.
so this is an evolutionary adaptation. Our brains have evolved to do that because our survival, our chances to reproduce increases when we can when we can predict the future. When we have the intuition that saves us from harm,
Okay.
that
Yeah.
increases our chances of reproduction.
Like the
So
rough one in the
naturally,
trees, you know, that you think
so
is a
so the
tiger.
right. So the brains that don't have intuition that saves them, those people end up getting eaten by the lions and
Right.
don't reproduce. So evolutionarily, we have a higher and higher chance of having a successful, useful intuition that will save us from harm.
Okay.
Right? It's simply a biological evolutionary adaptation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions I had. I think you definitely shine some light on my understanding.
Awesome.
So
And
I
remember, don't
appreciate you,
believe
Brian.
anything I say. I'm a dum dum. Go look it up yourself.
I think I might. You have a great night, sir.
You too. Be well.
Thank you.
It's official. Someone said that it's a middle finger with an A around it. I'm sorry. Print, cut the check.
Hello again.
Yep. So, do you have a story you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, this is actually, I'm glad you asked. This is interesting. Whoa. I'm getting weird feedback. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Do you want to try to come back again?
I can hear myself.
Ooh,
Yeah,
go out of the
here.
app and go right back in. That's the problem.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, I'll be right back. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he didn't have to exit. He just had to swipe up and down.
Yeah. The more you know. For anyone just joining, we're just having an open discussion. You can ask me or Chelsea anything you want. I appreciate when people share their conversion or deconversion stories. If you want to have a debate style conversation, that's fine too. Budapest was on earlier and we had a really good conversation, and I asked him to come back and share his deconversion story. So I'm very anxious to hear what Budapest has to say.
Glad you asked. And Buddha fist, as in like
Budapest. I'm sorry.
Made into a fist.
Budapest.
No, you're good. I get Budapest a lot. Okay, so I'd be interested to hear how many times you've heard this, because I don't know how common this is.
Let me guess.
I was raised.
You read the Bible.
Oh, yep. No, that was a start. That's the best way to make an atheist, is to teach them to read the Bible. So I was raised with, like, bafflingly no idea or semblance of God or religion. My mom was, like, kind of earth mothery, kind of like crystally. Unfortunately, she passed away in 2006. So, like, unfortunately, I never got the opportunity to truly explore her belief system. So I was raised without any sense of religion or really true understanding, right? I knew, like, we had a couple Jehovah's Witnesses in school. I knew that they weren't allowed to participate in holidays. We had an LDS kid, and I knew that, like, he was different in some way from, like, everyone else that was generic Christian. But I never explored it until I was about 15 years old. And I'm generally pretty, like, academically minded and curious, right?
And so, how old are you now?
I am 37.
Okay.
So about 15 years old, I started exploring religion. And I did this by reading the Bible first and foremost. Because that seemed like the go-to thing. The majority of people I knew, my girlfriend was a Christian. Parents forced me to go to church with them. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So, explored the Bible, but am open-minded and have always been super unbiased across the board. So, like, that is a version, but I've, like, pre-indoctrination or never indoctrinated at all, right? So, like, but that's not the only version. So then I started exploring all the Abrahamic religions. Okay, so what's the difference with the Catholics, though? And what about the Jews? And what about the Mormons? And, like, what is the difference? And so I explored all of the Abrahamic religions. And ultimately realized that they all tell the same story, and none of it really jived with, like, my personal sensibilities. There were either things that I found reprehensible, unbelievable, unrealistic, or just straight up clearly made up in my perception. Right? So then I started exploring Eastern religions. And I mean, everything from I guess that's Southern, but everything from the Popol Vuh to Jainism, right? Like, everything related to Buddhism and Taoism and Jainism and, like, all of the Eastern religions. And found them much more palatable. I don't believe in any of the crazy metaphysical stuff. I don't think I truly believe in karma, although I do weirdly believe in, like knocking on wood, right? Manifesting things. I don't
walk under a ladder.
Like stupid, like little, like silly old, like, you know, myths.
What do you do if you spill the table salt? Do you throw some over your shoulder?
I legit do. I legit turn around and I throw a pinch of salt over my left shoulder. And I don't even know what that one's supposed to be, but I do subscribe to some of these silly superstitions. Some of them make sense. Some of them make sense.
I don't walk under ladders when I'm on a job site because I don't want a hammer to fall on my head, right?
Right. And broken mirrors are just a pain to clean up. No, like,
Yeah.
and that's like a silly thing. Like, I do believe in manifesting things. Like, I don't, but that's just more like so pursued all of the Eastern religions and generally found them to be palatable, and about 18, 19 years old, decided to follow the Eightfold Path. So I have always said that I am an atheist who follows Buddhist philosophies. I just do my best to follow the Eightfold Path, and I say I believe in a Christmas song. Be good for goodness sake, right? That's really all it boils down to for me.
Love it. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
dude, yeah. So I just like, yeah, I mean, just through lots of individual study, and my belief system is solely based upon what made sense to me. And Buddhism taught me to think before I speak. And like a thing, like we live in such a negative society, right? And I don't know how susceptible you are, but I know that like we're all susceptible. And you'll have a bad day at work and a coworker did something or said something, and you'll be, you got a 40-minute commute home and you're halfway there and you have done nothing but chew your lip and just think about the negative stuff. Think about what they said, what you could have said, what you should have said. Like, all those negative things. Buddhism and, the Eightfold Path helped me learn how to identify those negative thought trains all near immediately, right? Like as soon as that negative thing, and now I stop myself, like near instantly, and let's truly any negative thought, like I'm so abhorrent towards negativity and negative thoughts that it's a near instantaneous like recognition for me at this point in my life. And that's like, and that applies to everything. And I just always play devil's advocate for everyone, dude, all the time. That jerk in traffic that cut me off. Like, I don't know. Maybe his wife's in labor. Like, he's had a really bad day at work. His mortgage is due and he can't afford it. Like, I don't know and I don't care. But there is potentially probably a good reason why that guy in that moment made that decision. And it does not need to affect me. And more of that comes down to like perspective. And I've always like sworn by the power of perspective, right? Like it is truly the only thing in this world that we can control. Like nothing else can we control. I can't control what my wife does, my boss, my children, nothing. What I can control is how I view the things that happen. So the very worst things in life are only truly as bad as you let them be. You control that. And the best things in life are only as good as you want them to be. You control that perspective. Your wedding day could have been meh, or it could have been the best moment of your life. And that is solely your control. It's the only thing we can control. And so just like, through the power of the Eightfold Path and perspective, I have found that I try to be a good person, man. Like to each their own. I don't, as long as what you are doing and what you believe doesn't hurt people or take anything away from anyone else, like I don't care, man. Like we're all wrong about everything probably. So hating someone else for a silly difference is just not a good way to be. And so that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi.
Have you ever? Thank you for sharing. Truly, have you ever seen David Wallace's commencement speech? This is water.
No, I'm familiar with Bruce Lee talking about this is water.
Not quite the same thing, but when you have a chance, and everyone in the audience, if you haven't seen this commencement speech, it's about 20 minutes long, and it is fantastic. David Wallace, this is water. And there's a lot of them on YouTube. Some of them are better than others, but it's only one speech, right? It helps remind us. Like I watch it from time to time, every few years. It's a great tool to remind us to shift our perspective. Just like you said, you can be frustrated. You can have the worst day in the world and standing in line in a grocery store, and here's a mom and her little kid, and the kid's freaking out, and you have a choice. You can choose to be angry and upset at this little kid ruining your otherwise terrible day, or you can just realize that we're all here to get along, right?
Yeah. And why get frustrated with the mom, right? Because she is stressed out too. She has to go home and cook dinner. She's got to deal with the kids. She's embarrassed as hell because the kids are making a scene. Like, yeah, no, it's silly, all the hate that people feel. Like, no one
Yeah.
takes a second to look at things through other people's eyes. And that,
Have you
I feel
seen
like, would fix the world a lot.
have you seen there's a video of a mom in a grocery store and the little kid is like screaming bloody murder and the old woman turns around and starts yelling at the kid and be like, "You stop screaming right now. Your mother is a saint. You behave for your mother." And the mother looks at the older woman and she just goes, "Thank you." Like,
That's sweet.
but it's true. Like, people genuinely don't know how to look through other people's eyes. They are so consumed with their own lives. And instead
Yeah.
of looking outside your own bubble and realize that all of the people driving past you in a car are having their own life and
Yeah.
living their
That's
whole
surreal, man.
experience.
Have you ever
Isn't that
partooken and then driven in rush hour traffic and had that realization and just looked at
it's
the thousands of people around you and be like, you're all real people with lives and cares and
Yeah.
loves? Like, that is truly surreal, dude. And then you defocus and zoom out to satellite view and it just compounds on itself. That has happened to me a dozen times throughout my adult life. And it is every single time I am just left in awe.
it
So the
is
video, I'm sorry, real quick.
go ahead.
The David Wallace video opens up with a great proverb. There's two fish swimming in the ocean, and they're talking about their lives as fish, and they swim across an older fish. And the older fish says to the younger fish, "Morning, fellas. Hope you're enjoying the water." And then they keep swimming past each other, and the younger fish looks at the other younger fish and says, "What the hell is water?"
Yeah.
It's all about perspective.
Yeah. On that, I'll let you go here so that you can talk to more people. 'Cause there's a lot of
Awesome.
angry people in the comments that I'm sure would love to talk to you about things. But I have a request. I one final statement and a request. So, a funny thing about me, there are two, like, I am habitual about two, like, damn near malicious towards people that I care about, right? There's two things that I request from people, and that is, there are two things that I gift to people, okay? And one of them, and gonna have to, they're both requests because you're on TikTok. First one, a book called Illusions by Robert Bach, Illusions, the story of a reluctant Messiah. Literally anybody who will send me, like, DM me, all the people in the comments, there's 105 of us in here. I will send you a copy of that book at my own expense. If you will promise to read it, I will send you a copy of that book. DM me your address, a PO box, whatever.
What's the author's name?
Richard Bach. It's called Illusions. I said Robert Bach, didn't I? Sorry. Richard Bach, Illusions, the story of a reluctant Messiah. That book did a lot to teach me the power of perspective. Like, my views on perspective largely started developing from reading that book. I highly recommend it. It's kind of religiously themed, but I don't think it has to be. I'm an atheist, and it's my favorite book. I have given away probably 30 plus copies of that book over the years. Anytime I've ever met someone that I thought could benefit from a change of perspective, I have gifted that book to. I have 4 copies of it sitting on my bookshelf in mint condition, just waiting for people who might need them.
You know what's
I'd be
funny?
happy to send it to you.
You know what's funny? I have been gifted the Bible, and I always think that there would be something really good to gift back in return. But there never, in my mind, is that isn't incredibly insulting.
Dan Barker, Losing
give 'em-
Faith in Faith.
Give them 2001: A Space Odyssey. That's my favorite book. I have my office is one wall. Well, I guess I could show you. Where's the camera?
Wall of
That's
books.
the camera. This is, hello, hi, this is me. Nice to meet you.
Oh, you gotta flip the thingy on.
Oh, I gotta do the thing. And then I gotta
Click
do
the thing with the thing. There we go.
There we go. So this is my bookshelf. And a chameleon over there in my office. Whoa,
That
hello.
is so dope.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm like stupid. My wife maliciously buys me Funko Pops. I have one Funko Pop. I've only ever wanted one Funko Pop. I told her. She bought me like all these Funko Pops, and I was like, I literally don't care about Funko Pops. If you're gonna buy me a Funko Pop, I want a autographed Green Lantern by Ryan Reynolds. And that darn woman got me an autographed Green Lantern Ryan Reynolds Funko Pop for Christmas
Jacob,
last
calm
year.
down. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay,
It's,
Jacob. Can I
that is
see
my
your
favorite thing.
Can I see your chameleon? I'm actually a reptile expert, and that fascinates me more than your Funko Pops. I'm gonna be honest.
He is a
Look
piebald
how
veiled chameleon.
handsome!
Her name is Mrs. Reginald, and she has, I don't know if we can see, she has a mustache because she is a distinguished lady. She is a
Stop it!
distinguished gentlewoman.
Oh, she's
I
very active right now. Look at
am
that.
She
overwhelmed. That just means
is.
she's nice and warm and happy.
Yeah, nice and warm, good and fed. Yeah, no, she is a piebald veiled chameleon. I also have a king snake, a piebald python, a gigantic bearded dragon, and a blue healer.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Wow.
Dude,
But
yes.
anyways, so
I approve
now,
of your reptile choices.
thank you. Now, the joke on 2001, I keep it as book one on my religious shelf because my personal end game, like if I get to choose what happens when I die, I want to be Dave Bowman at the end of 2001. Like non-corporeal sentience that can travel the universe at will. Like that is truly my preferred end game, so I put 2001 A Space Odyssey as the first book on
I
my
accept
shelf
that.
of religious books.
I
I know no one will ever get it. Like that's just my little secret. Like no one will ever care. I just keep that book on the religious section for me. So, anyways, please, like for real, like message me, DM me your address, your PO box, whatever. I will send you that book, please. Second thing is a request. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you. It's only like $5 or $6
I
on
know.
the
I know. That's
interwebs.
why I give it away. Yeah, that's
And
I'm happy
on your
to
request, I'll
spend
pick it up.
$10. Okay, yeah, no, that's like it's $10 to truly potentially help someone. That's an easy thing for me to justify. Now, second thing, then we can talk about it like next week or something. There is a movie from 2007 called The Man from Earth. It is my favorite movie. I've watched it probably hundreds of times. Like you only have to watch it one time. And then after that, you just listen to it. It is a conversation between a bunch of college professors. It primarily takes place in a living room. You truly don't. You don't need to watch it to like appreciate the movie. You can just listen to it. And I run a CNC shop. My wife is calling me.
Dude.
Yeah. Well, answer
please
your
watch
wife's
that
call.
movie.
Happy home. Don't mess up, man.
No, I know. I'm gonna go, so I'll call her right back. She has an hour lunch. She'll be fine. Please, pretty please, watch The Man from Earth. I'd really like to talk to you about it. Budafist, message Budafist. I'll send you that book, my dude. Keyboard Daniel. Yeah, man. Send me a message. DM me, and I'll send you that book. Please watch the movie The Man from Earth. It's an intellectual conversation between a bunch of professors. I would really like to conversate again with you about that movie. It's hands down my favorite movie. It's amazing. It'll make you think. You can watch it 100 times and go on 100 different thought tangents every time. Like, it's fantastic.
I think it's on YouTube.
You can pay. It's like $4 or $5.
It's an hour and 27 minutes. Remastered 2007. It's on YouTube. I'll just watch it tonight.
Yeah, it's on the YouTube. There you go. Please watch that movie. I would love to talk to you about it. It's an amazing movie. Like it's awesome. Oh, dude, it's such a good movie. And you do it while you clean, do it while you work, like whatever. Like it's just an intellectual conversation. It's like listening to a debate, except for it's just 5 professors having a conversation.
Oh, we're
awesome.
watching a movie.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
awesome.
you.
I appreciate you, dude. Have a great day.
You too. Be well.
Bye. Nope. I don't know how to leave.
I got you.
There we go. He did it. He best call his wife back.
Yes. Happy spouse is a happy house. Hello.
Hey, greetings.
Welcome. What's on your minds today?
Thank you, man. As it relates to the existence of a creator God, at the end of the day, do you hope that there is this creator God, or do you hope that there is not a creator God?
I guess I have no hope.
I have
Yeah,
a very
all right,
specific answer for
Chelsea,
this, but
go.
Brian, I would love to hear yours.
Okay. You know the Mark Twain quote, I was dead for billions and billions of years before I was born and had not suffered the slightest inconvenience from it? I have no expectation that there is an afterlife or that I will ever meet my maker, right? And if there is a maker that has judgment for my actions, well, I hope I do a good job, but I'm not going to worship something that has not even taken any steps to show me or convince me that they exist. But when you're talking about a non-interventionist God, you know, the prime mover, energy, some vapid concept like that, then there's no need to believe because it doesn't matter. They're not judgmental. They're not conscious in that way. So, Chelsea, what do you think?
All right, so I have. All right, this one's complicated for me because I had a grandmother who deeply, deeply believed, and her entire life, and she died at 95. Her entire life, and she spent more of her life without him than with him, hoping to be back with him again. And she truly believed that after her life that she would be. So there's a piece of me that hopes that for her that they're together again. Um but it's for her. Like in my head I hope that in her last moment she was thinking of him. And if that's what heaven is, then great. But I don't weird for me because I don't know if I've ever told you the story, but a psychic medium called my mom and told her that my grandmother had said something. And my mom was totally wigged out and totally like, excuse me? Because my mom definitely does not believe in, like, you know, the hokey pokey, that kind of stuff. And my mom got super emotional. Like this woman who, like, random stranger was like, I need to talk to you and I need to tell you a message, and completely devastated my mother for like the rest of the day.
Mm.
Right? And that but she said things that, and there are people that are con artists, like you talk about Barnum statements, but I wasn't there. I didn't see it, and my mom was like, it was so personal. Like she said things, it was so personal to me. She was like, I felt it, I knew. When I was like, mom. So like, my mother is convinced, without a shadow of a doubt, that they are together. But like for her soul, I hope that they are together. But for me, I truly do not wish that there is a creator. For everything I have read makes me believe that it is a jealous, wrathful, aggressive being that I have nothing but, if we're real, fear.
Okay, so Charles, you're saying that you hope there is not a creator God, and the host, you're saying that you're kind of like agnostic, like you're on the fence, like you don't hope there is, you don't hope there isn't, you just are kind of just mad, like you just don't care, basically.
Well, it's not that I'm mad. It's that I,
No, I
I
said
have
meh.
this.
I said meh.
So we mostly talk about the Abrahamic God because that's the culture that we live in. But if we were in India or Pakistan, we would be talking about a radically different set of gods. Or if we were in the tribes in Africa or on Papua New Guinea, right? We very rarely consider all the other gods and theologies throughout the world. There's literally thousands of them. So I believe in the Abrahamic God with the same amount of certainty that you probably believe in all of the other gods that you don't believe in. And again, I'm assuming you're a theist. We haven't even talked about that yet. But I am an equal opportunity unbeliever. I just don't believe. There's no reason for me to believe. And if there is a reason, then I haven't figured it out yet. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's a me thing. I am, after all, a big dum-dum. I'm just on TikTok. Don't believe anything I say. Go look it up.
Yeah, I certainly understand the stance of saying I believe or I disbelieve. I get that. That's why I centered the question more so on hope than belief, because that goes more to the position of your heart, like what your heart desires. So do you actually, you know, after with all the knowledge that you have, all the life experience you have, for me it's either one or the other. Either you hope that there is a creator God, or you hope that there isn't. And like the lady below me, she's kind of on the fence of I hope there is not. And so I can respect that. I understand that. Um, when it comes to the, like you said, if I was born in India and I had a different concept of God, I'm not really familiar with Hinduism, but with their God system, is there still one God who created all the little gods? Is there a creator of the many gods?
It's complicated. And
Okay, got you.
I am not a scholar of the Bhagavad Gita, but you should be curious. You should read it.
Right. So I
Unlike I
just
have.
yeah, so I just lean on the concept of, okay, if we're talking about God, there's one God. There's one big God who created everything. If we're going to talk about a God, the biggest God that there can be. And so,
But right, but again, there's so many. Like there are gods that create certain things or certain emotions or certain wars or certain like there's a monkey god named Hanuman. There's the destroyer Shiva. There's a god for all of the things, right? That's why there are so many. That's my very limited understanding of Hinduism.
but the monkey God, if the monkey God was created, then we can't call him the God. So I just
But
want to,
right, but again, this is your Abrahamic foundation of understanding what God is, right? And then you try to apply that to a radically different religion,
right,
then
right.
you're trying to observe the stars with the wrong tool, with a microscope or a magnifying glass, right?
I guess I would have to talk to a Hindu to ask them, okay, is there a creator of the monkey god? Who is the god of all gods for you? Since we're ignorant, can't really speak on that. But so your answer to the question is just basically just
Well,
there's an indifference. You don't
let's talk about hope for a minute. I think hope is not a very useful tool. It's not a very useful endeavor. Like I can hope that I go outside and turn the key in my truck and it starts, but it doesn't make any difference if I hope for it because the truck will either start or maybe the battery's so old now, it's like 5 years old. Maybe the battery's, not going to start at 20 degrees outside, right? I can hope that our government pulls its head out of its rear end and actually functions like it's supposed to. But I'm not going to rely on hope. I need to be politically active if I want to see a political change. I can only expect hope to get me so far, right? It's
right.
not very useful.
I think it's useful because it precedes. It's the conduit that ushers one into uh going towards what they put their belief in. So hope is useful because if you
Yeah,
hope for
can be.
something, that's going to lead you to believing that thing you're hoping for, and this is what we call faith. So, like the lady at the bottom said, well, she's not here anymore, but she was pretty decisive in that. She said, "I hope there is not this creator God," and so okay, I can definitely respect it. I understand that. I myself, before I was a believer, before I knew God, I always hoped that there was this creator God. I had a hope for him. And that kind of led me to seeking him. So that's why I'm asking you, what side are you on? Are you hoping that there is a God, or are you hoping that there isn't?
I guess I've never hoped for or against a god. It's just not again, I know I'm weird, but I don't hope in many things at all. Like I it's just like I have positive thoughts. Like people in the comments were saying hope is useful. It can generate positive thoughts. Yeah, true. But there's also a dark side of hope. When you hope for something and expect it to come true, then you're not acting. You're just hoping. And hoping isn't necessarily a direct path towards action. So to have positive thoughts, to have engagements, to have drive, motivation, those are much more useful in my opinion. Yes, hope is the emotional response that you want something to be better and you think it can be better, so you have hope that you can help bring something to existence, right? But ultimately it comes down to, are you going to change your actions because you're fearful of a God? Or are you going to change your actions because you're hopeful that you can be the best person that you can be, set positive examples, and interact with our brothers and sisters and neighbors and cousins and fellow citizens and people around the world? We can all do better. We can all behave better. We can do better. But hope is only limited in its usefulness.
I think that's pretty crucial. How we perceive hope, whether we diminish it and being not very important, or if we look at it very big, like the Bible, the scriptures say that hope, love, and faith are monumental to one's relationship with God. And so I think it's very telling how a person perceives hope and how they feel about hope. And I respect completely how you feel about hope. I see plenty of people in the comments. They're diminishing hope as well, and that certainly gives me an inlet to how you feel and how you see the world, brother. So it's good talking to you, family. Grace and peace to you.
Yeah, be well. Thanks for sharing your thoughts.
You too.
That would be a good topic for discussion.
Tell me.
Is hope useful?
Yes.
I
Ask me
think it is
why.
too. Yeah, I think it is useful too, but it's also a double-edged sword. Like I said earlier, it can be
Hope is
used
dangerous.
for yeah, hope can be dangerous. So what do you think?
All right. So there are situations in time of crisis where hope is the only thing left. And I think that's important. Um, but unrealistic hope is dangerous. And having sound people around you is important too. Um,
Hello.
because being able to be logical is super important. Like, you have to be
Right.
realistic in your hope. It's when you get crazy and say things like God is going to cure the cancer. Like, that's not hope anymore. You know what I mean? Like, we've crossed the line.
Hello, welcome. What's on your minds today?
All right. So I was just curious as to why you don't believe in God.
It's because I haven't seen enough evidence to warrant a belief in God.
Hmm.
So first we have to define God. Do you believe in God? How do you define God?
I do. I believe in God the Creator. Um, I'm a Christian, but I believe He's an all loving God and He's a just God to whatever decisions He makes.
Yeah. And what do you think is the best evidence for your belief in that creator God?
Well, I like to kind of do this little experiment. I tried it today for the first time, and it was really cool because it actually made people see through a different perspective. So, I guess what I would say is, do you think you don't believe in God because you can't see Him or the evidence in Him?
Well, it's not for lack of trying. I was a
Right,
very
right,
curious kid. Like I dove
absolutely.
into the Bible and other spirituality books. I
Hmm.
studied Buddhism, Taoist Buddhism particularly,
Hmm.
tarot cards. You know, I've been around the block. I've sincerely asked, prayed to God, reveal yourself. Are you going to help me in this time of need? And you know, it questions the usefulness of prayer. I never really understood what faith was, and then I did, and I realized that it wasn't useful. It was it was hopeful at best. But again, like our discussion earlier, hope can be used for or with malicious intent. Hope can be abusive. So when you examine excuse me, when you examine the natural phenomena of the universe, when we look at the stars, when we look at the bugs and the birds and the trees, right? Look at the trees. You can conclude, like, it's easy to jump to the conclusion that we don't know how it got here. So we have to fill in the gaps. We have to come up with some kind of answer. So maybe God just created it all. Maybe God was the prime mover. Maybe God tweaked the knobs just so that the life could flourish and evolve here, right? But the moment you start putting personal characteristics, qualifications on God, like he's loving, he's knowing, he's powerful, he's omnipresent, he is everywhere, he was Jesus in the flesh, he flooded the world, Noah and the boat, the story of Lot turning his wife into a pillar of salt, the burning bush, the rising from
Passover.
the afterlife, right? Like all, when you start compounding the notion of God with all of this baggage, all of this stuff, the supernatural, mythological crap, right? Then we can examine those claims carefully. We can actually measure how long the earth has been flooded or not flooded, right? We can actually examine whether or not people can walk on water or turn water into wine. Like, illusionists are real. Illusionists have been walking on water for a long time. Illusionists have been making airplanes and buildings just vanish and then reappear later, right? So because we understand that the human mind is very fallible, we make mistakes all the time. We can be easily tricked, duped, right? It makes sense to me that there are no gods, that the whole story is just an attempt to alleviate people's anxiety from not knowing, or to try to give an explanation of why we are here or where did we come from. So what do you think about all of that?
I think personally the Bible is a beautiful collection of a, a Jewish oral tradition being passed down for generations. And then it was written down and it was manipulated and changed for kings and emperors. And we know this, we could see this in history. King Henry VIII did that with the Church of England to marry his second wife. We know that things were taken out and misconstrued a little bit. So for us it's a beautiful story, and there are some things in it that happened. We're not saying that like the whole thing, because there are places and people that did exist, but for us it's the magic once you start to add.
Miracles.
Yeah.
Sure. What if, let's say, I guess you were God, right? And you wanted to reveal yourself to people. In what way would you do it?
That is a great question. Now, if I were an all-powerful and all-knowing God, I would know exactly what it would take to convince a non-believer like me. Because even if I walked outside at night and I saw all the stars in the sky rearrange themselves to spell out the words, I am God, I am real, believe in me. And I witnessed this, and all of the other people on the planet also witnessed this, and they were able to read the stars in their own native language and understand God's words have been physically written in the stars. Even that wouldn't necessarily be proof, because we could all be experiencing a mass hallucination, right? Self-delusion is a real thing, and it happens to all of us.
Dude,
We
have you seen the
self-delude
drone
all the
shows?
time.
Have you seen the drone shows?
Yeah, with
That
drones flying at night. Yeah, they're
incredible.
right. So what if some clever kid programmed the drones to fly around to say, I am God communicating with you, believe in me, right?
Well, that,
Are they?
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, you're the real God, but no matter what phenomenon or no matter what miracle you perform, there are always going to be people that don't believe it. So, how would you get those people to believe it? That's kind of the point I'm getting at.
Does it matter? If I were an all-powerful God, would it matter if the people that were it's think have you ever considered the ants that
I
live
was
under
just
your
gonna say
driveway
that.
as you drive over them?
Mhm.
Why is God so concerned with what we do in the bedroom or how we handle our food?
I don't necessarily believe in the food thing. So, I mean, that's like not my in my area, I guess.
But the
That's
Bible clearly says don't eat shellfish. Don't mix your
that's
food. It says it describes a kosher diet. The
right.
Bible clearly says do not touch the dead flesh of a pig. Well,
Yeah.
there goes football, right? Football's
Yeah.
gone.
That's in
How,
the
do
Old
you
Testament,
do you
though.
ever do you
Right, but
ever
how do we
wear
get to
clothing of
right,
mixed
but how do we
fabric?
get to take out the Old Testament? How do we get to take out the people who were the closest to the time period of the so-called original word and say they're the ones that are wrong, but the people hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years later.
They weren't wrong. It does say in the Bible, in the New Testament, that the old covenant was done away with, and the new is set into place. So that's kind of where the Old Testament is kind of
Yeah.
knocked.
Right, but
And yet you still believe in the stories from the Old Testament, like original sin, the Garden of Eden, the Tree of Knowledge, Noah's floods. Do you believe in those stories, or are they're just part of the history and we don't need to pay attention to the Tanakh or the Torah anymore?
Yeah, of course we should believe in them still, but I don't think that means the rules within the Old Testament should still be followed only because Jesus set new rules into place after the resurrection because all you have to do is accept the free gift rather than work towards your salvation.
Right. So what's the purpose of Jesus sacrificing himself? What's the purpose?
To take on the sin of the world and spill his blood that may be washed clean.
Right. So where did the sin of the world come from?
The sin in the world originated from Adam and Eve's temptation and biting into the apple that, or whatever fruit it was, and I can't tell you for sure, into the tree
Right.
of good and knowledge and evil.
So do you think Adam and Eve actually existed and the tree of knowledge and the fruit, whatever it was, do you think that actually existed?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if God is all loving, as you claimed,
Hmm.
then why would he create the conditions and the knowledge? Because if God is all knowing, then God must have known that by putting the tree of knowledge in the Garden of Eden would create the conditions such that Adam would end up eating from the tree of knowledge. He had to have known because he is all knowing.
Right.
So if eating from the tree of knowledge damns humankind to sin, right? We are unclean now. We are all fallen. We are flawed because we ate from the tree of knowledge that God created. God didn't have to create the tree of knowledge, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So if you believe all of this stuff literally happens, then it was the design, it was the plan all along. We were designed to be sinful by God's design because he is perfect and he's
Hmm.
all loving. So how is he both damning us to eternal suffering if we don't follow his rules and at the same time all loving and created the conditions for us to harm ourselves in this scenario? See, the logic to me doesn't make any sense.
So actually, through this, it's a lot of Christians don't realize it, but God is all powerful. But through the free will that He gives us, He limits His own power to where He does not affect our decisions. Now He put that
but that
tree into
doesn't make him all
place.
powerful then.
He limits His power so that we might have free will. He has the ability to take it away if He so chooses, but He chooses not to, so we can have our own mind and our own
So
beliefs
he
and our own
so he
spirit.
still chose to give us the
But
conditions in which to fail.
Right.
I want to know.
So
I want to know how you know this. How do you know this is true?
how do I know that he limited his powers so that we might have free will?
Yes.
Um, I mean, I do you want me to pull up some verses, or is that too cliche?
I'd rather you not read the verses, but you can talk about them. Like
Okay.
if the answer to my question is because I read it in the Bible, then you can just say I believe it. I know it's true because I read it in the Bible.
Well, I believe that he limited his power in an aspects that we have free will and we can make our own choices. And he put that tree there so that they might have a decision to love God and they might have a decision to follow him if they so choose, or they could go against him,
Right, but
right?
how do you know that that story was not an alteration of someone trying to tell the original story? How do you know that those bits and pieces haven't been changed?
So why would you say that they were changed?
Because throughout history we can prove it. Do you know that King Henry VIII, do you know who that is?
I do.
So he took and changed because his first wife was very connected to the Vatican, and he needed to marry his second wife. He
Hmm.
felt in his whole heart and soul that this was his soulmate. So he
Hmm.
took and disconnected from the Vatican and had scholars rewrite and the Bible and cherry pick the things that he needed and wanted so that he
Sure.
could get divorced, and
Hmm.
created the Church of England, which
Sure.
is still the church today. And King
Hmm.
Charles sits at the top of that church now. So we have proof of kings cherry picking and changing the word of the Bible throughout
Sure.
history. The greatest
Absolutely.
example is what Bible do you read?
I actually read the English Standard Version of the Bible. It's easier for me to understand, and that's not the only one I read. I also read the Christian Standard Version because I don't like reading just one version, just in case I don't understand the context that well.
But do you know where
So,
those come from?
where the scripture comes from?
No, well the yes.
Well, sure. It was God inspired,
Well, the King Charles version is what
but
I'm
it's not. It's yeah, it's not the King Charles version though.
right. But but that is where it comes from now. The American English version, that is where it comes from, and then it's been translated and separated into several different categories.
Well, through me saying that I don't believe that God's word can be protected over time, then that is me doubting in my Lord. So I would not like doubt that his word is true. Like, okay, if there are minor differences, in which case, like, affect the big picture, then no, I would not believe in um, the Bible. But every minor difference in every different book of the Bible leads
Right,
up
but
to
what
Jesus
about
being
the
the
things that
Savior.
absolutely contradict themselves? Or
Like
have
what?
all loving?
Uh,
Go ahead,
there's
Brian.
there's there yeah, there's lots of contradictions in the Bible, and once you know how to see them, you can't unsee them. For example, in Genesis, it mixes up the order in which God created the stars, the trees, the heavens, and things. Like you can find this out. You can read it for yourself. In Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, they all have different accounts of who was outside of Jesus's tomb.
Well,
Right?
sure.
If those are contradictions, there's a big extensive list, but ultimately, I want to get to the point, the most important point of all is
Hmm.
this. All books, all of the holy books, all of the fantasy books, all of the books in the world, every single book is a collection of claims. That's all it is. The
Hmm.
claims have to be verified outside of the claim. If you're using the Bible to prove the Bible is true, that's called a circular logical fallacy, right? It's not useful. So if you want to prove a claim in any book, for example, in The Lord of the Rings, it says when the elves die, they go to a place called Valinor, and they can choose to be reincarnated in Middle Earth if they want. So we have to consider that's a claim and weigh it against reality. Of course,
Sure.
we know that The Lord of the Rings is a fictional book. It's
Right.
fantasy. But we also know that some of the claims in the Bible are true and factually accurate. It talks about the Egyptian cities and pharaohs and kings at the time, right? That can all be verified by third
Hmm.
party information. There's a lot of third-party information that verifies a lot of the claims in the Bible to be true. However, there are a tremendous amount of claims in the Bible that are factually, demonstrably not true. So, when you consider that, and you have to come to the realization at some point, maybe not today, but realize that there are parts of the Bible that are demonstrably, I can demonstrate how this claim is false, right?
Sure.
So when you realize that parts are true and parts are false, now you're left with understanding or sorting out the difference between, is this claim true? Is this claim false? I have, it's right here. It's a red letter version of the King James Bible. And every time Jesus speaks, the text is in red font. Now, my question is, how do I know that Jesus literally said those words? Or maybe someone made it up. So now the whole Bible is in question, right? How do I know Jesus said anything?
Well, again, it's isn't it from Jesus speaking with the Lord and then telling his writers to put it down? And also, sorry, this is kind of a change of subject. I promise I'm not trying to change the subject. Just to hit on earlier, whenever you said the Gospels were contradictory to one another, we actually did an experiment in my Bible study group. I just want to say this before I forget about it.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
We did a experiment in my Bible study group where my youth pastor gave us all a pen and paper, and he started reading word for word at a medium pace, like what was in a book, right? And we had to copy down exactly what he was saying, like everything that he was saying. And at the end of the like storytelling, we all had the basic same idea of what the story was. Some of us couldn't finish the writing all the way, and everything else led to being the same. It's just in a different way of writing it, because listening to something happen or writing it off of memory, you cannot get exactly what happened down to a T, because we're not perfect, right? So
Right.
Right, but the first mention of Jesus being the Son of God is 200 years later.
well, he was also pre-announced before he came to the world as well. And he's the only human in history, human and God, I guess, in history to be pre-announced before he came to the world.
Brian, what was that book that you had? The one, Jesus Becoming God.
Oh, yeah. Someone in the chat wants to know how many believers versus non-believers are here. Could you start that poll? I'm interested too.
Oh, that would be fun. That would be fun. Absolutely. Hey, if I ever get if I ever start I sound aggressive or anything, I promise I'm just passionate about this topic.
Oh, I fully understand. Because this topic is so emotionally charged, like our religions are part of our life. It's our friends and our family and our belief system. Yes, having this conversation can very quickly get emotionally charged.
Sure, absolutely.
And that's not a bad thing until it breaks down the conversation, which is why
until it becomes solely emotion. I'm good right now.
Yeah. So there's a professor of college. His name is Bert Ehrman, Ehrman. And this is one of his many books. I only have this one because I found it at the dump on the pick pile and it was free. And I've always been wanting to read some of Bart Ehrman's material. Mm-hmm. But I have seen him in a lot of YouTube, not debates, but, discussions about this stuff.
Sure.
And he believes, he is a Christian. He is a Christian scholar. He believes in God. He believes that Jesus was a man, but he rejects all of the supernatural claims. And he is a biblical scholar. He understands Hebrew, Latin, all the dead languages that are what the original texts are made out of. Sure. So he's studied the source material to the best of his ability. And what he has found out is that most of the supernatural stories that you hear about Jesus never happens. The
Okay.
Bible was written in such a way that Jesus fulfills the prophecies of the old books. It rewrites Jesus in a way that he becomes the Messiah. Jesus was he never claims to be king of the Jews. That was an idea written after his passing.
Mm-hmm.
So to understand the role that Jesus plays in reality versus in the book, in your versions of the Bible, are radically different experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus did exist. I also believe that Jesus was a man, but most of the claims that the Bible makes about his history, teachings, ideas are not accurate, right? For example, Jesus wasn't born on December 25th. He was
No, he
probably
wasn't.
born in July or something,
Yeah.
right? But we celebrate his birthday on December 25th
Yeah.
because it is the third day after the winter solstice. There are
Mm-hmm.
3 days in December where the length of the day is imperceptibly different from the human naked eye. We have tools now to know that the December 22nd, 23rd, and 24th are not exactly the same length of daylight,
Mm-hmm.
in the northern hemisphere at the 42nd latitude or whatever the case may be, right? But my
Mm-hmm.
point is this. Jesus is now rising after 3 days of being unalive, and he's
Mm-hmm.
the new sun, right? This is to fulfill the pagan understanding of the sun setting for 3 days. It dies, and then it is reborn. On December 25th, Jesus rises again. It's a story about the sun and our angle of wobble to the sun, right? It's literally an adaptation of our understanding that now the days are growing longer. A new year is upon us, right? So Jesus is thrust into that narrative. He was never the Son of God. I'm sorry to break it to you. He wasn't. He was a really cool, progressive thinking Jew. He did a lot of great things for his people at the time. But after then, he was massaged and manipulated in the story to be greater than he actually was. Jesus is a tool. It's a narrative piece of theology.
Okay. I I'm kind of just thinking back on like the if you were God thing. Like it's just hard because like I used to say that a lot, by the way. It might get annoying. I say this is hard all the time. So anyway, I feel like it's a hard scenario because again, seeing if Jesus was real, and I believe he was, and you believe he was, he would have either had to be a liar, the son of God, and there's another one, but I forget what it was. So he but he did make those claims that he was the son of God, and he had followers who claimed that he was the son of God, and you know um saying that he didn't perform these miracles, or like even you said there were illusionists, right? It's just it seems bizarre to me that he would claim to do all of these things and that there were eyewitnesses to these things
So
that
let me put a pin in this idea real quick.
sure.
What you think Jesus said is not what Jesus said. It's the writers, it's the authors of the stories, of the chapters, of the Gospels. The writers of the story made it sound to you like this is what Jesus said. But you don't have any proof that he actually did say or do those things. Once you're able to compartmentalize that, then you can start to view the Bible critically. Real quick, the poll is closed. Does God exist? 37.9% of you said yes. 48.3% of you said no. Approximately 3.5% of you said pasta, bowl pasta, which is my favorite. and then 10.3% of you are still deciding. So again, 30, we'll say 38% yes, 48% no, and 10% still deciding.
Sure. And that's noodle pasta noodle or pasta noodle pasta.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Pastafarianism?
Yes. the
Okay.
spaghetti monster.
Yes.
That's right.
My
He
spaghetti
he is the
monster.
one true complex carbohydrate deity.
Ah.
He boiled for our sins.
Man.
See,
He has
when
answers for all, I promise.
when you're able to view your religion like you may view other religions, even the silly ones, right? It allows you to open your mind up to the possibility that what you know is so just ain't so, right? We're all flawed creatures. Yeah, I don't believe in original sin, but I know that all of us are flawed. We see things that don't exist. We see ghosts and apparitions and have dreams of Jesus all the time. But it's just part of the human condition. We are flawed creatures. But that's not to say that you're sinful. That's not to say that you're going to suffer for all of eternity. Those ideas are traumatic to me. And that's harmful. I think religious ideas can be extremely harmful, and that's why I
Especially to
like having these
children.
conversations, especially
Yeah.
to children. Yeah. Have you
I
ever woken up at night in a panic that you said the wrong thing and God's going to punish you?
no. Not necessarily.
But
I
maybe you know someone who has.
I feel like it depends on the way you look at things and the way that you've been exposed to different Christians and their morals. Because I know a lot of Christians who don't represent the love of God correctly. Um, I feel like, of course, with those bad things being said, I might believe that some of it is true, but I don't believe that you should come in a way of aggression and hatefulness, being like, if you don't follow the way that I believe, you're gonna go to hell. Like that is the wrong way to approach things. Absolutely, and I completely agree with people saying that like people do things in the name of Christianity, like war and murder and stuff like that, and just because they do those things in the name of Christianity, that doesn't mean that's what God wanted for the world. And so I believe that there are hateful people in every like area of belief anywhere, but they may not be representing their God correctly. And that's like kind
Can
of
I
where.
ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
Can you think of anything that a non-religious person might do that
I
a
might.
religious? Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead.
Can you think of anything a non-religious person could do that a religious person couldn't?
Sure. My boyfriend is actually non-religious. um he he's a very like go with the flow type of person. Like whatever happens in a day, he's cool with, and he's like stress free most of the time. And that's not something I can do because I always feel the urge to, I guess, stress the importance of the gospel to people because I want people to be saved. So I guess the pressure of trying to get your get people to see Jesus is kind of scary because you believe that you might not see them. So I guess they can
Right.
live
And
free without stress.
and the other half of that question is, can you think of a heinous act that a religious person would do where a non-religious person would not?
So I am not the brightest cookie in the world. What is heinous? I'm sorry.
Violence or mean-spirited, damaging, dangerous, hurtful.
Sure. So what could a heinous act be of a spiritual person that a non-spiritual person wouldn't do? Or
I
is it
would
both?
say, yeah, I would say religious, but spiritual works too. Like,
Oh, I'm sorry. For
no,
sure.
that's okay.
I feel like religion is harmful in and of itself, which is ironic, seeing as I'm a Christian. Um, I think people who are religious can be harmful because what is important to them is like their belief and like doing things the correct way in their eyes, and if other people aren't following that way, then they can be very hateful and very aggressive.
Oh, for
But
sure.
I feel like people who truly have a relationship like within themselves and God, um and I'm not saying every religious person is hateful, like I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if they are loving and kind to people and accept people no matter like what they might believe, then that won't be harmful in a way. Because like, I'm not coming on here to try to convert you to Christianity.
Right.
I'm genuinely like I'm trying to spread kind of what I believe in a calm manner, and I find it, believe it or not, really interesting to hear different perspectives on different beliefs and why people believe it, and
All
try
right.
to.
So can I plant a little seed in your brain
Sure.
that you might not have heard before?
Yeah, absolutely.
Telling people that Jesus loves you or that Jesus loves you anyway can
Yeah,
be extremely offensive to people.
sure, I believe that.
Um, it's vastly different for some people, um, but mostly it's people saying, "But I have a religion or I have a belief,"
Hmm.
and you saying that your God is right and loves me anyway negates my believing.
Yeah, absolutely, and I agree with that, and I feel like in a sense that's people not accepting that other people have other beliefs. We talked about this in church on Sunday, accepting people who have different beliefs than you, accepting people who are different from you in a way that isn't our belief, I guess, if that made any sense. I kind of forgot what
Then
I was saying for a
then why
moment.
do you feel like it's the all of the weight is on your shoulders to spread the word?
I don't think it's all on my shoulders. I just really care about the people in my community, and I care about, I love people, and I, you know through believing that Jesus is the only way in like my life, I at least want to give them a chance to hear about it. If they don't want to listen, I don't push it anymore after that. Like, I've had my friends tell me, please, I don't want to talk about this makes me uncomfortable, and I was like, I immediately stop what I'm saying, I apologize, and then I don't bring it up ever again. Like, I'm not going to shove something down someone's throat that they don't want to hear, because I don't feel like that's fair. But I feel like as long as I talk about it at least once, I did my best, and if they don't want to hear about it, then that's their decision completely. And I don't feel like I have a right to tell them that they're going to a bad place just because that's what I believe. You know. So if they're not comfortable with it, then I'm not going to make them listen to it.
Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts. I want you to come back again, and please think about how do you tell what's historically accurate or real in the
Hold
Holy
on. I want
Scripture
you to ask
and
a 1
what's
to a
not.
100 question.
I've got a couple other guests I really want to get to.
This is the only
Sure.
person I truly want to
Um,
know.
okay, so there's a really interesting thought experiment
Sure.
that I like to practice with believers, and it goes like this: if you could put your certainty on a scale from 0 to 100, where 0 is nothing but doubt, I have nothing but questions, and 100% is I have nothing but certainty that your religion is real, that your God is real, that everything in the Bible is accurate, or however you want to define your personal belief,
Sure.
where would you rate yourself on that scale of certainty?
I'd say I'm in like a 97 for sure.
Okay. Now, what information would it take, or things to witness or see to understand? What would it take for you to lower your degree of certainty?
I really don't know if I would lower it, just because I feel like I've seen the work of God in my life, whether, that's acceptable or not. I feel like I have
Now
experienced
or in the future, like what would it take for you to change that number?
sure. For me to change that number would probably take I guess, God abandoning me.
But what would that look like?
Well, I suppose that would be like he. Hold on, let me. I'm trying to think because I've
No,
never.
you can. This is a definitely. You can come back and answer this one.
Yeah, you don't
This is
have
a
to
head
answer right
scratcher.
now.
This is
I
a head.
want you to take your time and think about it. What information, what
I'm.
thing could you witness that would lower your certainty in your belief system?
I feel like what would lower my certainty, like for sure, would be any like hypocrisy that God did against His own word. But you know, He's never done anything like that towards me. So
So it would have to be a personal experience.
sure. I mean, that's like a
Okay.
really big thing for me is like personal like experience. Just because everything about my relationship with God is a personal relationship.
Now, I know the Bible tells you not to do this, but I think you should test some things. Test the usefulness of prayer. Test the usefulness of faith. Now, on that, I want to give you an opportunity to share a last thought, but I'm anxious to talk to some of the other guests that have been waiting very patiently. But first,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you so much for this
Someone
conversation, and
said,
I want
"Please
you to come
explain why
back.
this is so
Of
important."
course, I'm gonna follow both of you. So
Oh,
if
thank
I'm
you.
ever like back, I can see when you guys are live.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll follow everyone that follows me. It may take me some time. Sometimes I
Sure.
have a lot of followers to sift through.
Yeah, that's okay.
But thank you.
Holy
Please,
cow,
please.
kid! You got a bunch.
Yeah, I post about a show, so all good. But I will say, I feel like at one point I wasn't a Christian. Like if I'm being honest, didn't come to the full realization of who Jesus Christ was to me until about 2 years ago. Um, Kind of a sob story. So if you don't want me to bore you with that, I don't have to.
Come again sometime and share it
Okay,
with us, please.
yeah, I'll let you
Yeah.
get to your other guests. But
We
Thank you. Thank you.
we have another page on the back. It says, what brought you into religion, or had you leave?" And we would love that.
sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. It's all right. It's getting late. I need to get going soon, but I want to bring a couple more guests in real quick. Someone gave you some coins. I don't want to kick you. Oh, what's your name before you leave? What's your name? I can't
You
read
can
it.
call me Deb.
Deb. Nice. Thank you for joining us tonight, Deb.
Of course, it was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you
Bye.
too.
All right. I don't want to kick you out because you'll lose your coins. Okay. There she
Oh,
goes.
she's well experienced in the TikTok.
Yeah. What's her follower level? I didn't see.
Like 27,000.
I'll get there someday.
Oh, someday. Yeah.
Over the rainbow. I'm almost at 7,000.
I
Yeah,
haven't looked
almost.
recently. I don't want to talk about it.
All right, everyone. I need to get going soon, so I hope I can keep the next conversations kind of brief. I'm trying to bring the guests in, but they just disappear on me. So if you get kicked out or whatever, please come back.
Because
Oh,
people wait so long, man.
people wait so long, and the app just kind of crashes and it gets funky.
This app is. I mean,
Hello?
we love our Chinese overlords.
Yeah. Hello, welcome. What's on your minds?
Yeah, so I was gonna say that you can't really like prove that anything in existence is like 100% real, cause like you can't even like prove that you're 100% real. Like technically, like everything exists in a probability scale. Like even though there's no like actual evidence that you're real, you know that you're real through probability. Like it's kind of obvious that you're real. The same way, like I believe that people who believe in God, they also think that it's more probable to believe that there is a God, and that yeah, it just seems more likely that there is a God. So that's why people like choose to believe in a God, even though there's not like I guess physical evidence, because you can't really prove that anything that's real. If you get what I mean.
Right. Well, people believe in God typically because they presuppose God
Yeah.
exists. They have been taught, they have been indoctrinated,
Well,
typically, not always, but taught to believe that God exists, right? We
yeah, but
physically change our brains
yeah,
because of our upbringing. When you are 4 years old and you go to church every single
yeah,
Sunday, you think that's the natural state of the world. Without knowing that there's 1.4 billion Hindus that don't have the same practice,
yeah,
or what, 2 billion Chinese people that don't practice the same thing as you. Like, our brains are wired the way they are at a very
yeah,
young age. So you can talk about probabilities all day long, but at the end of the day, you either believe or you don't. And
yeah.
if
But
you
there's
either have good reason to believe or you don't.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like people have reasons like why they choose to believe in a God. Cause like why do you think that you even exist in the first place? Because the chances of you even existing is pretty low. In fact,
the
it's very
chance
low.
the chances of us existing are exactly 100% certain that we do exist, because here we are.
Yeah, but
We
if you
right, but
if you do a quick Google search, it shows the actual probability.
yeah, I know, but that's taking a lot of
I mean, if you want
I'm
scientific evidence, that is, I guess, somewhat so.
I just don't find this conversation very useful.
Yeah, but the chances of you existing is low though, because I think that if the chances are low, it just makes sense that we were
Right, but
caused
if you
to
don't
exist for a
believe that
reason.
I'm real and we don't believe that you're real, then this conversation isn't real. So that's fine.
No, of course I know you guys are real, because like even though you can't prove to me that you're real, it's obvious because it's very probable that you're real. And the
I'm
same
not
way, I
real.
believe that like without a god, like how do you even explain the beginning of the universe?
I
Or
can
like,
I
how
can
does
Lord,
that?
complete I can completely explain it to you. I was there. I am the creator of the universe. I wear the crown.
But
Queen,
realistically, how do you actually explain it?
Queen of the universe, dude. I got you. Lisa, the rainbow giraffe. No, no, no. Hold on. He's got this.
I'm
But
working on it.
do you think that the universe is
Boom.
pooped into existence?
Oh, dude, you're in her nose. Boom.
I want to get to the next guest. Basically, I
Lisa.
presuppose that the universe exists. We exist in that universe, and we have the capability of understanding and manipulating the universe to a limited degree. I think, therefore I am. Solipsism 101, right? We have an opportunity to weigh all of the evidence against the claims, and it's our job as thinking people to come to the most amount of true claims, accept the most amount of true claims possible,
Wait,
while
how do you
also rejecting the most amount of false claims as possible, concurrent with the evidence.
wait,
There,
how,
there's my
but
philosophy.
but how do you explain the beginning of the universe? So how do you think everything came into existence?
Lisa. Lisa did it. Lisa, the
No,
rainbow giraffe, poops universes. By definition, Lisa did it.
but I'm talking about like actually. Do you actually think that the universe just happened to come into
Lisa
existence?
is
No,
outside of
false.
our universe.
Okay,
You
yeah.
see?
Right.
And
Lisa's outside of space and time.
Planck time is
I
about
feel like you guys are trying to like run away from the question because you guys are trying to make it like a joke, but like you guys actually don't know, do you?
Planck
That's
time?
right. No, you're right.
No,
We
you're
don't
right. We
know.
don't know.
We
No
don't
one
know.
knows.
So that's your answer. You don't know.
Yeah, and we're okay with
Correct.
it.
Isn't
Yep.
that okay then? So isn't it probable that something caused the
No.
universe to come into existence?
Yes,
It's
Lisa.
it's equally probable that nothing caused the universe, and therefore
No, no.
the
No. It's not.
universe
It's
has
not. It's
always
not.
existed.
Wait.
Right? It's
It's not.
there's an
It's not. It's not equally as probable that nothing caused the universe come to existence. You can't
why is
Right,
it
right,
create
right,
not?
right. But
something
you
from
don't know that
nothing.
it wasn't always there. You don't know that it's not a natural process of like regeneration and expanse. Like you don't know that it's not.
Okay, even if you say that the universe is eternal, there's still like you still accept a necessary existence of some sort.
Okay, listen. Please come back another time. I want to talk to you about this. I don't have the time right now. I want to get to a
Rapid
couple
fire,
more
bro.
guests.
Sorry.
Yep,
We're
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 going
at
rapid
least we're
fire.
at Lisa level.
We're at least a level. But do come back. I promise you, I want to talk to you about this.
We have hit rainbow giraffe level 5. Okay.
Yes.
We only get to so many levels, okay? It only gets to so many levels.
Hello. Quickly, what's on your minds?
Hi, I'm Daniel. Should I address you as skeptic or something else?
You can call me anything you want, just don't call me late for lunch. Brian is fine, skeptic, the dude in the circle, whatever.
All right, dude in the circle. A quick contextual question: should I pronounce or comprehend your username as being TikToker or Toker or both or neither?
Yes.
Yes, all at the same
Okay.
time.
Okay. And speaking of which, is it against the rules of TikTok with its censorship and everything to consume things that are legal in the state of
To
California where I
to
live?
toke on screen, let's always
Yes.
assume yes, it's a
Yeah.
violation.
Okay. All right. I just want to
Yeah.
be safe and not sorry. So
Yes,
I've
be
been kicked
safe.
off like 4 times in the last month, usually for supposed hate speech or
No,
supposed.
it's probably smoke in the screen.
No, it wasn't that. I wasn't doing that. I was just, behaving in an obstreperous and controversial manner, and I
The
didn't, you know,
audacity.
I didn't talk about the guy with the mustache in the 1930s and 40s and all the other things. But okay,
Yeah.
thanks for clarifying. I love the colors. How did you make your giraffe be so
Thank you.
lurid?
Thank you. Thank you. I'll take credit for that one. This is Lisa.
Oh,
There is more of Lisa to come, I promise.
which one of
She
you is Lisa?
Chelsea has
Oh,
an AI app that she uses to make a tremendous amount of fantastic backgrounds for
oh
our
my
show.
God! I've got to get to know this Chelsea. I'm a software engineer with a lot of background in computer graphics and stuff. So and an artist and a musician. So I'm super interested.
Okay,
Um,
this thing
I
has been I've desperately been trying to communicate with this thing. It is not easy. It is desperately hard. I get fails all the time. But yes, all hail Lisa, thank you. Um,
but
it
you've
has
been
become
trying
more
to
and more
communicate.
difficult and more frustrating. But yeah,
Yeah.
follow me and we can talk about it.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll
get a
do
room,
that.
you two.
Yeah, get out.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, it's getting kind of steamy over here. I'm not here to defend some idiotic religion's principles because I'm an agnostic atheist, but not to mention an engineer and a scientist. But I do want to pose, if I dare may, the question of what any of you, anybody's open the question. What motivates people to so strongly, obviously it varies from person to person, want to follow a path of completely illogical, nonsense based gibberish, dare I say, horse manure, when they decide how to determine the cosmology of the universe in which we all dwell? I know it's a big question, but it's worth looking at. It's a social slash psychological, sociological question. But look at the hundreds of millions of people around our world of various languages, skin colors, ethnicities, yana yana, that believe in one variation or another of a nonsensical idea like there's a super powerful collection of one or more entities doing blah 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 in order to fuck with my life. It's just preposterous beyond my ability to comprehend, but I am me and I don't see it like other people do. So
Right.
anybody have any insight? I'm not asking for the ultimate answer, but it is a
Yep.
question worth asking because, and I'll be finished in 10 more seconds, I promise.
Yep.
I live in a world. I'm a Californian. I'm an American citizen. I'm 66 years old. I'm university educated, and I am shocked and dismayed by the fact that if I or anyone were to run for president or senator, but let's say president, let's say, tomorrow, if I announce, hi, I'm Daniel blah, blah, blah of San Diego, and I'm an atheist, I couldn't get on the ballot. I mean, maybe I could get on the ballot, but I'm not going to get votes. Why is that? Why does every speech that were I to be a candidate, I need to end, that is, terminate the speech with God bless America? including Barack Obama, did this and all the rest. Why the bleep would I have to say that? That's what really irks me, irritates me, makes me
Yep.
upset. The end.
Yeah, me
Please
too.
discuss.
So it actually makes a lot of sense that religion survived as long as it does. It is an evolutionary adaptation of
Sure.
survivability, right?
Absolutely.
It's useful to organize and congregate, right?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
and one of the hardest lessons I learned as a thinking adult is that we don't choose our beliefs. Our
Yeah.
beliefs are manifested through our understanding of the world,
Yep.
and
Yep.
just like these corrective lenses that I wear on my face, we
Yep. Yep.
view the world through a lens, and that
Yes.
lens is what I call our epistemology. Our
Right.
epistemology is the toolbox that we use to determine what is true and what's not true, what we believe in and what we don't believe in.
Right.
So America is unique for a lot of ways.
Yes. Yes.
But one of those ways is McCarthyism in what was it, the 60s,
No, no, 1950s, early
the
1950s.
50s, right? So we
Yeah.
had this idea that communism is atheism and atheism is bad. So that's when we started putting God we
Oh, yeah.
trust on our money and
On our
all
money.
over the place, right?
Oh, yeah.
It was a defensive reaction
Right.
to the idea, the communist threat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that has solidified people's distaste, mistrust for
Yes.
non-belief in the
Ah.
electorate. So most of the voting people in America are the
Yes.
children of people who are terribly afraid of the faithless, the heathens, the dirty
Yep.
communists, right?
Like
So
me.
this
Like
it all
me.
makes it all makes sense when you know your history.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm old enough to not have been alive during the McCarthy era, but I missed it by about 3 years. But in any case, we could also look at the fact, and this may sound like a tangent, but it's not, that in about the same year, which I believe was 1953, check if I'm wrong, but it's close to that, the same year the transistor was discovered over at Bell Laboratories in New Jersey, and eventually, some not too long later, three gentlemen who worked there won the Nobel Prize, in physics for having done it. The result is the machines that you and I and all the rest of us collectively today are using to communicate with each other in this brilliant, multicolored, psychedelic giraffe situation, right? I mean,
All right.
without the mother frickin' transistor, this conversation would only be a dream in a science fiction author's pipe dream. It's just
Yeah.
ludicrous, and yet the
Can you
number of
imagine
trans.
telling this to someone 50 years ago that a
Oh yeah,
touchscreen FaceTime rainbow colored giraffe, that they'd think you were on some serious acid? Like the instantly straight jacket. Like instantly.
Yeah.
Like you were
well,
absolutely ludicrous and insane.
right. The
Daniel,
closest.
Daniel,
Yeah, sure. Yes, sir.
please come back another time and we will continue to commiserate, okay?
Okay,
Yes,
yeah,
please, for sure.
I have obviously a giant amount of rambling, and I'm not even on the things that I can't show you that I like to consume in California. But in other words, I'm just sober. But it is
There is a reason the
interesting to
giraffe does look
think
this
that.
cool, Daniel.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
There's a reason the giraffe looks this cool, Daniel.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's awesome. I plan to screenshot it and follow you so that you can tell me more about its hysterical and historical origins.
Oh, I
It's
promise.
just that 50 years ago, it's my parting comment, and I'll let you sail on into the giraffe universe. 50 years ago, plus about 5 years, a movie was released out of, I think, the UK called 2001 A Space Odyssey. In this movie, created, of course, by the great Stanley Kubrick and the great author Arthur C. Clarke, we see rather, casually that one of the protagonists, he's a middle-aged slender man. He's a scientist. He's up in a space station that's orbiting the Earth, and he gets on a a video call with his wife and very young daughter, maybe 3 to 4 years old, whose birthday it was that day. In other words, he's trying to be there for his earthbound young female child and he has a color television with audio experience. Now, look how similar that is to what we're holding in our hands this afternoon.
Yeah,
It's amazing, you know.
yeah. Science fiction is a predictive power for sure.
It
Look at how
is.
many.
It is.
Look at this.
It
Look at how
is.
many scenes The Simpsons has predicted.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
All
The
right, all right.
Simpsons predicting things is a meme. All right, I'll bring it back another time. Nice to meet
Yeah.
you,
Hey,
Skeptic. Nice to meet you all.
I followed you.
shoot me.
Don't worry.
Shoot me a direct message. I have something to share with you after the stream. Okay.
Okay, I'll figure out how to do that. I'm a software engineer that doesn't know how, but I'll figure it out.
Oh, dude, you come on.
Okay, well,
This is
Chelsea, just
TikTok. Come on.
like I'm new to it. I'm just a virgin. Help me. All right, send me a message, Chelsea, and I will
I
reach
will.
out to you, Skeptic. And it's great to meet you all. You're all wonderful. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Be well.
Bye.
All right, swipe either left. Yep, there we go.
I got him. All right. I'm sorry, everyone. I wish I
Au
had time
revoir.
to get to all four of you.
Hey, oh, what's
We're
up?
going to see how quickly this can go, but I really have to log off soon.
Hey, Brian, my friend, how you doing today?
I'm very well. Briefly, please, what's on your minds?
Very, very briefly, before I want to ask you a quick question. Were you always an atheist, or something in your life changed you to become an atheist?
I never really believed in anything particular. I was a very curious child. I prayed to God. I asked for answers. I also did a lot of studying and practicing in Taoist Buddhism. I learned how to meditate. And it wasn't until I was in my teens that I met a tarot card reader and I became fascinated with the usefulness of tarot cards. So I bought the cards, I bought the book, right? I bought the bag and the crystal ball and all the stuff like a good little consumer. And by chapter 2, I realized this is a bunch of bullshit. I learned what Barnum statements are, how they're useful and manipulative, and after that, all the walls came crumbling down and the truth was revealed to me that it's all just a made-up form of comfort.
Okay, that makes sense. Um, this is what I want to say. I mean, this is why I believe in God, right? Um, it's good. It makes me feel good. You know how when
I'm coming. I'll be right down.
you know you know how like working out
Yes,
is good
very
for you,
soon.
like working out is good for you. Even if sometimes you feel tired, working out is good for your organ. Is it makes you, live a healthy life. It's the same. Believing in God makes you live a better life. You have control. You know, it makes you feel good. So anything that you will do that will not make you feel good, which is like not believing in anything, that's not good for you.
Well,
So
I
you
believe in all
should
kinds of
not do it.
things. I believe in all kinds of things. I believe that this pen is real. I know this pen is real, right? So to believe in a supernatural creator, though, that's a whole different conversation, right? So I don't believe things because it makes me feel good. I don't think that's a healthy position to hold. I can believe all kinds of terrible things that may make me feel good on faith alone. I could believe that calico cats are far superior to tiger striped cats. Is it true? Just because I feel good about it, because I have a calico cat in my life, doesn't make it true or useful.
I understand. I understand what you're saying, and I don't want to waste much of your time. But what I'm saying is, when you look in the Bible, right, all the Ten Commandments, everything is good for you. So why wouldn't you,
I
do
don't
something that
no,
is good for you?
I don't believe everything in the Bible is good for me. In fact, I can give you a heinous example. According to the Bible, to have a covenant with God, you're supposed to permanently alter the genitalia of infants. They don't have to be infants, I suppose, but a permanent alteration, an unnecessary alteration to the genitalia of both male and female infants is a heinous practice that would otherwise be condemned as a crime against humanity had it not been for the religious practice that has been part of our cultures for millennia, right? So why don't we examine the truth claims in the Bible and realize some of the practices, some of the ideas are very, very damaging.
Yeah, but is when you talk about it, the Old Testament, of course, things are cruel and but I personally don't, read the Old Testament too much because I'm a Christian. I believe in Christ.
Well, you
After
can't reject the Old Testament because it wasn't if it wasn't for the Old Testament, then original sin isn't a thing. Therefore, Jesus didn't die for your sins because there's no such thing as original sin. So you're now cherry picking. You're choosing to believe in some parts while rejecting the other parts. And that's a good start, right? I applaud you for that. Now continue to apply skepticism to the rest of it that's not based in reality. And on that, please share your final thought. Come back again. I want to get to another guest before I close the live down for the night.
no, I know I'm not gonna, succeed in convincing you, but next time, every time I come here, I tell you that I'm gonna convince you one time to give your life to Jesus. That's gonna happen, my friend. Take
Keep
care.
trying. Keep trying. I love it. Because if you're right, then I want to
I know
believe.
I'm right, my friend. Take
All
care.
right. Be well.
I promise you he's not. I promise you. You just have to believe, Brian.
Just believe.
You
You just
just
have
gotta
to believe
believe.
first.
Hey,
Hi, how
hey,
are
how
you?
y'all
What's on
doing?
your minds?
I just had a quick question. I think it was similar on the topic of what he was talking about, but I had a simple question. I don't actually know any atheists. I really don't have too many friends in general. Um, like, what is the benefit to you all, if both of y'all are atheists, of thinking the way, like, not believing?
Yeah.
Like,
Do
what's the
you
benefit to it?
So, do you gain a first, let me ask you a question. What religion do you follow, if any?
I follow Jesus Christ, teachers of Him. I wouldn't
So,
really say I'm a Christian, but
what is the
follow the teachers of
benefit for
Him.
you not being a Taoist Buddhist
I'm not
or
for
a
sure what Buddhists like
right?
believe in or
So,
anything.
what if your
I've
religion
researched
isn't
it,
the
but I
right
can't
one?
recall it.
What about Hinduism? Do you know anything about Hinduism?
I don't. I do know one. What I don't know too much about. I researched this stuff, but it's been a while since I have. But one
Right.
thing I do know is most of those. I think every one of those actually religions go based off of you do what two bad things. If you do four good things, you're good, right?
So,
So
I hope you I hope you take the time to read a comparative religion book or take a course. There's tons of YouTube videos out there. Comparative religion studies are a very important thing to know, at least a little bit. So the reason I asked you this is because I'm assuming that you believe your religion is the right one. Your particular religion
and I
and
can
book
answer
are the
you.
best paths to truth or to salvation, right? So if you ask me, what's the benefit of me not believing?
Yeah.
It's because I can't choose to believe in
You
the
mean like you
God of
can't
the
force
Bible.
yourself?
Right, I can't force myself to
Yeah.
believe in the
Yeah, I
God of the
understand that.
Bible.
Yeah.
So
And because for me, if someone asks me that personally, I used to be like a mega thief. So Lord knows I'd probably be locked up or something. Um, so I mean, it's weird when Jesus came into my life. It's like that urge. I still have urges to do other things. That's not right. But one thing is that I was used to be a thief, and that's why I say it benefited me, because if I didn't believe in any religion, personally, I don't think I have any morals. Because I don't think I have any morals because I was a horrible person. So that's why I think Christianity benefits me so much. Encouraging me to love, to be nice, et cetera, all that type of stuff. So that's why I know it benefits me. So
So that's a good thing. I'm glad you found a moral compass, even if it's not an internal moral compass. At least you're able to grab onto some kind of guiding principles, right? And
because people
everyone's
think that
everyone's brain is a little different, right? We're all wired a little differently. And sometimes people don't have empathy for others, or they don't have a moral compass. That's just part of the human existence, the human experience, right? We're all a little different. And if it takes religion to stop drinking or stop stealing or hurting someone else, then in that case, maybe religion is a good path towards a better life. But that doesn't mean that you can't also find those moral compasses in a different religion or no religion at all. For example, I find that secular humanism is a good moral value system to me. Look into secular humanism. And it's a ideology, a belief system that we should all strive to do good with our neighbors. It's don't steal and don't covet thy neighbor's wife and don't harm people is not unique to Christianity.
Yes,
It's a
that is Lisa
shared
for those
value
that are
system.
asking.
Yep, Lisa the rainbow giraffe, she poops universes. It's a fact. But if you truly don't have a moral compass, then you should find a counselor, a guider,
well,
someone that can.
like a moral compass. I'm not saying I was just out here doing anything, but I guess I'm saying good is also. I feel like good is there's many things that people that think is okay when it's actually not okay, and it's just based off of what you think. So
Well, in
for
my opinion, morals are subjective. I think every single person has their own subjective set of moral values. There are some things that are universal or objective. Like, I think everyone in the world
so was you
should be able
so
to
so what
agree
I'm saying
that
is what
SA
stealing and
is a
stuff.
terrible thing. No, I was going to say SA. Steal.
Oh.
So stealing is a
Because
good example of.
some people think they should. If they like, I don't got no food, I don't got no money, I got
Right.
to. I don't got no money to pay my bills. So that's what I'm saying. Is some people say it's good, some people say it's wrong. I was doing it just because I wanted something, and
Yeah,
personally, I don't think I had the money for
All
it.
right,
So
so
some
this is
it's
people say that's
this is a
good.
perfect example. All right, so I don't know if I can say this word. It starts with a W, ends with an R. There's an A in the middle.
oh, the WAR word.
Yeah, I don't know if I can say that word. Can we say that word?
I think so.
All right,
I
so
say it a
war.
lot.
So we're jumping head first. So if you fall directly in the center of the line and you're someone who's pressed, you are neither for either side. You are just there to document the tragedy and the absolute horror. And you are taking pictures of both side, either side, and both sides are there protecting their men who they both believe truly are there to win and protect themselves from harm. Who is in the wrong?
You said who was in the wrong? Like if basically you said WAR, right?
Yeah.
And who
And
is in
both
the
sides
wrong?
truly believe they are fighting to protect themselves. But if you're
I mean,
if you're on one side, you believe you're in the right and morally the enemy is wrong. They have come here to harm me and what's mine. But the other
yeah,
side
and
can
that's
say
why I
the
don't agree
exact
that us
same
as humans should
thing.
have our own morals. That's why I
But the
don't
other
agree that
side
us
can
as
say the same
humans.
thing. The other side can say the exact same thing. They've come here to harm us. We're here protecting ourselves as well.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that's what
And
I'm saying. I feel like we should have a middleman. Where God is like the basically, I feel like God's morals are the morals that we should abide by. Not everybody believe that.
but
So
but but the God of the Bible
I'm with you guys. They're all wrong.
practiced some terrible moral character.
Yeah, and a
Like,
lot of Christians won't accept this. I don't agree with some of the things that he did in the Bible, right? But
right?
I've accepted that I'll never understand. Well, some of the things he does say why he did it. Some of the things I just have to accept. It's God, and he did it. I may not never know why he did it, but he's God, and I have to trust him.
But what? But why do you trust him?
Well, personally, because I the way my life changed, the way my life then changed,
But like,
and some of the things.
what brought you to the belief of God? Was it something that you read? Was it something someone told you? Was it something that you heard?
Well, I was a believer. Then I was a non-believer. I got to the point where I was saying God not real. I was basically like, okay, God, if you're real, why is all these evil things happening? And one verse that changed my whole perspective by saying a verse in the Bible where it said, Satan is the God of this world. God has
Yep,
dominion over here, but it
I
says
know.
Satan is the God of this world. And that helped me realize, okay, if the Bible says that Satan is God of this world, that's why evil exists in this world.
The
And that
Bible
helped
says
me a
all
lot.
kinds of things, though. Like,
Right, but
I want to get
Joseph,
into it.
yeah.
I want to get into
I
it,
was like,
but
I gotta
another
eat
night.
dinner. I
I gotta
respect
get
all of
going.
our. I respect everyone that
All right, y'all
fights
have a
for.
blessed one.
I respect
Come
Y'all have
back
a
everyone
good
that
again,
day.
fights
It
to
was
please.
nice
defend
talking
Please
to you.
come back
themselves,
again, okay?
and I truly think
All right,
that
y'all have a good night.
there are moral to both sides, but it is hard because the people that end up fighting for us genuinely don't end up knowing what they're fighting for.
All right, Tex, you're going to be our last guest for right now. I know you've been waiting a long time, so thank you for your patience. But please try to keep it brief, like 2 to 4 minutes, okay?
I'll do the best I can. Appreciate you having me back.
Dude, the
Yeah,
cowboy with the beard is on point.
I'm glad you're back. I enjoyed talking to you yesterday, or was it the day
Oh
before?
yeah,
I can't
it was a
remember.
couple days ago. Yeah. Um. So the answer to this other guy's question that he had, the one that was in California, um, why? I guess it was like, why do we believe in something, like whatever. Well,
Yeah.
always brought up a bad example to this. I said bad, keyword bad. I'd rather have it, not need it, not have it. It's just short end of this, just real quick. Because think
Is
about it,
that
like
Pascal's wager or slightly different?
maybe slightly different, maybe. I don't know. Because like if you think about it, what happens after death? According to believers, we go to heaven. To non-believers, they don't, right? And to me, I can't fathom the idea of not going into heaven. So I'd rather have my faith, and not need it, because if when you're on alive, you're on alive. There's nothing more after that. So like, what's
Yeah.
the harm in that? You know what I'm saying? And
Sounds like Pascal's wager to me.
it could be. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know that. I've heard of it,
Yeah,
but I've
you
never really looked
you
into
you,
it.
you basically just described Pascal's wager, but that's all right. Moving
Okay.
on. Or is that your answer? Is that your conclusion?
That was the answer to him. But I want to ask you something, man. Can I give you a little homework and then we can get back together till like next day or two?
Well, you can try. Yeah, what's on your mind?
I just want you to pray.
You just want me to pray?
Yeah.
But I have already.
No, 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 no. I want you to pray, and I want you to ask him a question. Just one question, and I have 100% guaranteed I can answer it.
That you can or can't. Wait, what? What'd you say?
I can answer the question,
You can answer the question.
Oh,
and
you want?
I'm not
Wait,
gonna
wait. You want to
I'm not gonna
test?
know the
Oh no,
question
he
though.
wants to test the validity of prayer. You want Brian to pray and ask a question, and you will be able to answer.
Yes, using my
Okay.
Bible,
Interesting.
using my
Can I
Bible.
write can I write my question down so we can demonstrate for the audience if
Yeah,
you're right or wrong?
absolutely, absolutely. But
Awesome.
but keep
Okay.
it. But here's there's some stipulations behind it though.
Oh, of course there
Now
are.
don't
What
make
are
it
they?
easy. Don't make it easy. Like
Don't make
don't
it
be like,
easy.
hey, do you exist? Like don't not a question like that. I wanted it to be a
Okay.
heartfelt question.
So
But no,
here's
but no, I
here,
don't want to see it.
here's a blank piece of paper. I'm going to use this
Okay.
pen to write down a question, okay?
Yep. And I don't want nobody to see it. But can't be doing it because you have to do it like on your own by yourself, and you know how the Bible says. You know.
Okay, I got a question.
But
No, he says not now.
But
You got to be on your own by yourself in your closet, just like Jesus says.
yeah, 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 exactly. But here's the thing, though.
He
Don't
wants
use
to
the
come back and do
words.
this later.
Yeah, yeah. I want you to do this tonight before you go to bed, with nobody knowing it, just you and yourself. Make it heartfelt, and it's like it has to be a big, heartfelt question. It can't be just a random, stupid question. You know what I mean? It has to be something that really means something to you.
I want to do it
And use the
too.
names. Use the names Yahuwah for the Father, and use the name as Yahushua as the Son, and close it in Omain, not Amen.
Too many rules. No, sorry.
Well,
Too many
it's
Nope,
stipulations.
nope, nope. I want to do it.
You can do it.
yes.
You're
I
free to
want to
do
do
it.
it.
Because I mean, Jeremiah. See, here's the thing. Jeremiah 16:29 says that you will know his name, and then what was it? John, what is it? John 16 something talks about that he would. I can't remember what
Yeah,
the actual
but
script is.
but
Talking
I
about
don't
that you need to know his name, and you
but
have
I
to
don't
ask his
believe
name.
but I don't believe those words in the
I don't
Bible
care.
are
I don't
mapped
care.
with reality, right? I
He
don't
doesn't care.
think that there's any validity to
Wait, but
those
it,
I do.
wait, but it
instructions.
doesn't matter if I don't believe, and it doesn't matter if I don't believe, and he still says he can get an answer. I'm doing
Yeah.
it.
All right. Godspeed. Good luck, everyone.
All right, man. Hey, I appreciate you, and I guess are you gonna be on tomorrow?
Oh, we're doing this tomorrow. Oh, we're
Probably. We
doing
might be
this.
on later tonight, but we've got some movies and shows to watch. But I do I want you to come back, and maybe we can test the validity of faith and prayer another time. Okay?
Yeah, for sure. That'll
Am
work,
I
man.
allowed to tell
Send me a
Brian my
message.
praying?
We're following each other, so send me a message. Like, let me like 30 minutes before you go live.
Yeah, I need to do a better job with my public outreach. I just go live when I want to, and I don't even
Yeah.
tell people.
Well, that way I can
So
close what I'm doing. That way I won't miss the live. You know what I mean? So
Brian,
give me ample
tomorrow,
time to do so.
2:30. You good? Oh no, I'm not. I'm not. That's a lie. Tomorrow, after dinner, you good?
Yeah, I'll be. Yeah, I usually get around TikTok around about this time, which is 5 o'clock my time in Texas. So you know.
well, we'll meet up again for sure. All right. Be
All
well,
right.
everyone. I gotta get
Yeah,
going.
have a good one. Much love.
Ramen.
Much love. Chelsea, final thoughts?
Um, praise be upon Lisa and
Leaf. Leaf be upon.
oh, I'm so sorry. Leaf be upon
Leaf be
her.
upon her.
The audacity of I. Um, ramen and don't think I'm okay. Someone specifically asked for me if I could put the flying spaghetti monster onto the back of Lisa. And I saw
Ooh.
it. I know. See, here's the thing. I saw it, and now I can't unsee it. And now
like,
that's in my brain now.
like with his noodly appendages
See, I don't
holding
know.
her horns like Ratatouille.
Oh, don't see. You are a terrible person because I don't know what I'm going to be able to get at. Ugh, you're terrible. I don't know. I have if I'm going to be able to do it at all. I've been desperately trying to communicate flying spaghetti monster, and it doesn't seem to understand. It's
All
very
right,
upsetting me.
if there are any graphic designers out there listening,
Don't you
please,
dare! I am so wholeheartedly going to work on this.
the flying spaghetti monster, ramen, holding Lisa the giraffe's horns or ears like Ratatouille. A leaf be upon her.
Someone said put it in her mouth. Yes.
Eh.
Oh,
All right.
come on!
All right, I really have to go. I love
Someone
you
says
all.
I'm an artist.
Talk
Do it.
later. Yes, do it.
Do it.
All right. Thank you all for being part of it. Let's all do the best we can every day. Follow the best moral compass you can. Think about your neighbors that are in need. Don't spend too much time on TikTok. Go touch some grass. You know, all the good advice. All of the good advice. All right. Until next time, everyone. We'll talk later. Bye.